Chapter 482. Be careful. Before Qin Daoxian could take action, Wei Zhongwu, who was not far away, saw 4 heavenly venerate-level monsters rushing towards Qin Daoxian, flew straight towards Qin Daoxuan's position, and stopped in front of Qin Daoxian. Looking at the giant over 5,000 feet tall in front of him, Qin Daoxian felt complicated for a while. The Jinpeng demon on the opposite side saw that a Taoist on the 5th floor of the world realm dared to stand in front of Qin Daoxian, and smiled contemptuously, beyond one's own abilities. Say it. The Jinpeng world monster directly showed its body, and a giant Jinpeng with a wingspan of more than 10,000 feet appeared in front of everyone. With the appearance of this Jinpeng world monster, the momentum of the entire battlefield was seized, which can be described as much attention. Since you want to die, this deity will fulfill you. Jinpengji's mouth spit out people's words. Immediately, the Jinpeng world demon waved its wings violently, and a huge space storm appeared in front of the Jinpeng world demon. Go! The tornado formed by the space storm slammed into the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City, making a loud bang. Afterwards, the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City shook violently. When Wuhe Tianzuan saw this scene, his face became even heavier. While he had to guard against the demon court emperor, he also had to maintain the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City, which was really powerless. During this time, if he hadn't repeatedly helped the monk army, Yaoguang City's defense line would have collapsed long ago. Even so, he couldn't support it for long with his mana. Abandoning the city and fleeing is a dead end. Sticking to Yaoguang City, the vitality is also very slim. Wuhe Tianzuan can only hope that the reinforcements from Guangyuan realm will arrive soon. Boom! A loud bang broke out again. The Jinpeng realm demon looked at the formation light curtain coldly and said, "I see how long your turtle shell will last." Having said that, he not only attacked himself, but also ordered the 3 heavenly venerate world demons who came with him to attack. As the offensive of the 4 heavenly venerate level world monsters became more and more fierce, the other world monsters retreated and stopped the offensive. There is no way, the power of the 4 heavenly venerates bursting together is too fierce. If the other world demon army insists on attacking, it will inevitably be affected, and the world demon side will suffer heavy losses. This kind of stupid thing, the world demon will naturally not do it. The defenders of Yaoguang City also all retreated to the light curtain of the formation, and did not dare to use the formation to meet the enemy. Nonsense. A total of 4 heavenly venerate world demons attacked, and even Wuhe heavenly venerate did not dare to go out rashly. This moment, the eyes of the human cultivator and the world monsters were all focused on the 4 heavenly ranked world monsters. Behind the Jinpeng world demon, tens of millions of world demons stood in the void, and their mouths burst out with shocking shouts. The Jinpeng god will be invincible. The Jinpeng god will be invincible. The Jinpeng god will be invincible. The shouts rose from wave to wave, and the guards in Yaoguang City saw this scene. All their faces turned pale, and even the guards who served for the first time were so frightened that they could not even stand on their feet. In front of Qin Daoxian, Wei Zhongwu's face was ashen. He turned his head to look at Qin Daoxian, glared at him and said, "Look at what you have done. Why did you anger the world demon? Don't you know that Tianzuan has been delaying time just to wait for reinforcements? You are good, forcing the world demon to fight us directly." No wonder Wei Zhongwu was angry. The world demon and Yao Angcheng were well aware of each other's thoughts. The world demon wanted to consume the mana of Wuhe Tianzuan, and even had the intention of encircling points for reinforcements, and wanted to eliminate the reinforcements of Guangyuan realm, while Wuhe Tianzuan wanted to delay time and wait for the arrival of reinforcements to relieve the siege of Yaoguang City. Therefore, the top forces on both sides have not been put into the battlefield. But Qin Daoxian was better. Relying on the 2-star insect soldier in his hand, he made a big killing in the world demon tide, and finally angered the world demon side, so that the other party launched a decisive battle in advance. Hearing Captain Weiss scolding, Qin Daoxian was not angry. In fact, from the fact that the other party stopped in front of him at a critical moment, Qin Daoxian knew that this Captain Wei was not as ruthless as he showed. People. At the beginning, the 7th Brigade he led was almost wiped out, perhaps not as simple as he said. Of course, now is not the time to struggle with this. Chen Daoxian crossed Wei Zhongwu and walked towards the formation light curtain. Seeing this, Wei Zhongwu stopped Chen Daoxian abruptly and said angrily, "What are you doing? Are you courting death?" Wei Zhongwu seemed to be brought by Chen Daoxian's anger. "I have brought soldiers for so long, and I have not seen you rush to court death with a few words of scolding like this. Do you want to apologize with death? I tell you, dream." Wei Zhongwu gasped, "You have to live for Lao Tzu, live well and continue to kill these world monsters. Did you hear that?" Wei Zhongwu almost roared at Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian looked at the emotional Wei Zhongwu, and there was a warm current in his heart. He firmly pushed aside Wei Zhongwu's sturdy arm and said, "Captain, I am going to kill the enemy, not to die." "Kill the enemy, you kill." Before he finished speaking, Chen Daoxian actually passed through the formation light curtain of Yaoguang City. Wei Zhongwu was stunned when he saw this scene. He turned his head directly to look at Wuhe Tianzuan, his eyes were full of disbelief, and roared, "Tianzuan! Why let him die? You shut up." Wuhe Tianzuan really didn't have the energy to explain, so he waved his hand and threw out a ban, sealing Wei Zhongwu's mouth. Seeing Chen Daoxian walking out of the light curtain of the Yaoguang City formation, all the monks in Yaoguang City were stunned. "Who is that?" "I don't know, I haven't heard of it. He should be the defense force of Yaoguang City, but I have never seen him. Maybe it's a new sergeant." In recent years, the battle with the world demon has become more frequent, and the sergeant's replacement is too fast. When the old man in Yaoguang City talked about this topic, there was an unstoppable sadness in his tone. The monks of the human race have relied on the fairy city built by the ancient real immortals to defend the world monsters for hundreds of thousands of years, and the monks who have sacrificed are more than hundreds of millions. His name is Chen Daoxian. At this time, an old man in a brocade robe opened his mouth and said, "Oh, Brother Mingyu, do you recognize this person?" "Recognize?" Fu Mingyu nodded with complicated eyes, "Of course I recognize it." Jinpeng and other world monsters stopped their offensive when they saw Chen Daoxian walking out of the Yaoguang City formation light curtain. Standing 3,000 feet tall, Chen Daoxian looked very small in front of the Jinpeng realm demon. Not to mention that next to the Jinpeng world demon, there are still 3 heavenly venerable world demons who are not much weaker than it. "Boy, have courage." Jinpeng world demon glanced at the 2002 star insect soldiers in the light curtain of the formation, and said with a smile, "Why don't you bring your Taoist soldiers out, then you can at least have a chance to fight." "Unnecessary," Chen Daoxian shook his head and said word by word, "Beat you, I have better." Hearing this, the Jinpeng realm demon looked stunned for a moment, and immediately said in anger, "Be ashamed of your words, give me death." After all, another space storm slammed towards Chen Daoxian. Boom! A violent space storm bombarded Chen Daoxian's position. This attack definitely surpasses the level of ordinary Tianzuan. If he hits Chen Daoxian directly, he will only have one end, that is, his body will be shattered and his body will be destroyed. But when the space storm dissipated, a 5-star insect soldier with a dazzling golden glow built a golden barrier to block Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian, who was behind the golden barrier, was unscathed. 5-star Taoist soldier. The face of the Jinpeng world demon changed suddenly, and it was afraid that it was not Chen Daoxian who took out the 5-star insect soldiers, but the number of 5-star insect soldiers in the opponent's hands. At a glance, Chen Daoxian had more than 2,000 5-star insect soldiers in front of him. This power has far surpassed that of the 4 heavenly venerate world demons joining forces. Generally speaking, 100 5-star insect soldiers can compete with the heavenly lord of one tribulation. 2,000 5-star worm soldiers are at least equivalent to 21 tribulation heavenly venerate joining forces, and even more terrifying, because it is difficult for heavenly venerate and heavenly venerate to cooperate as well as worm soldiers. Seeing this scene, Jinpeng world demon's courage instantly disappeared. Just as he was about to order to retreat, Chen Daoxian's insect soldiers rushed towards them. The speed of more than 2,000 5-star insect soldiers is so fast, and the distance between Chen Daoxian and the other party is too close. In the blink of an eye, the 4 heavenly venerate world demons were surrounded by a swarm of insects. Get out of here! The Jinpeng world demon with a wingspan of more than 10,000 feet was besieged by the 5-star insect soldiers, and naturally he would not be captured. Besides, although these worm soldiers are strong, they are far inferior to the Jinpeng world monster one-on-one. Although the Jinpeng world monster admits that it is invincible, it still has full confidence in breaking out of the encirclement. I saw the golden wings on its wings blazing out one by one, turning into streaks of golden light, blazing towards the insect soldiers besieging it. Clang clang! The golden light hit the golden insect soldier, making a crisp sound of metal collision, and the insect soldier who was besieging it was beaten backwards. Seeing this, Jinpeng world demon looked happy, and even wanted to leave. Humph! What about 500 5-star insect soldiers, wanting to kill me, dreaming? Just when the Jinpeng world demon was proud, the 500 insect soldiers besieging another world demon gave up their original goal and flew towards the Jinpeng world demon. Seeing this, the heavenly venerate world demon who was besieged to the point of death couldn't care about the other companions, and fled back with a flash of light. Ha! Crocodile wizard! When the Jinpeng world demon saw his companion abandon it, his eyes were split open, and his golden pupils were full of hatred and anger. But its anger was of no help to the predicament he was in at the moment, and the 500 5-star insect soldiers blocked him again, and then the 500 5-star insect soldiers who were knocked away by him flew back again. This time, the number of insect soldiers besieging the Jinpeng world demon suddenly rose to 1,000. 1,000 5-star insect soldiers besieged, and the real combat power is stronger than 1,000 world realm 5th layer Taoists together. Because the cooperation of the 5th layer Dao Jun of the world realm is no matter how tacit understanding it can't compare to the insect soldiers. In the distance, Yaoting Emperor Shi saw that his disciple was besieged by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers, and his face changed suddenly. He slapped Yun Ran abruptly, and just as he was about to help, a familiar word suddenly came from his ear. Fellow Daoist, the younger generation is fighting, it's not appropriate for you and me to end, right? In Yaoguang City, Wuhe Tianzuan looked at each other with a smile. Across the distant void, Yaoting Emperor's eyes collided with Wuhe Tianzuan. He knew that if he made a move, he would definitely be stopped by Wuhe Tianzuan, but if he wanted to watch his disciples being eaten up by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers, he couldn't accept it. Thinking of this, Yaoting Emperor Shi took out a small flag and slammed it towards Chen Daoxian. Immediately, 2 chains, one black and one white, stretched out from the void and attacked Chen Daoxian. On the black and white chains, there is a strong fluctuation of pure yang aura. Pure yang immortal artifact. Wuhe Tianzan's face was solemn. It turned out to be a pure yang fairy weapon of a human cultivator. Although world monsters can use magic tools, world monsters themselves are not good at refining tools, so world monsters who use high-level magic tools are very rare, let alone use pure yang fairy weapons. But at this moment, the Demon Court Emperor Master took out a pure yang immortal artifact. Wuhe Tianzuan stared at the black and white chains, and quickly recognized the origin of the 2 chains. If he remembers it correctly, this is a pure yang fairy weapon left by a true immortal who fell in the ancient times, called the Yinyang Erqi banner. Chen Daoxian also saw the 2 chains attacking him, and he knew in his heart that with his current strength, he couldn't stop the 2 chains, unless he asked all the 5-star insect soldiers to come back to help. But in this way, the remaining 3 heavenly venerable world demons all ran away. He has endured for so long, and after finally encountering this God-given opportunity, he naturally does not want to waste it. Humph! Wuhe Tianzuan naturally wouldn't sit and watch the other side interfere with Chen Daoxian's battle, only to see Yaoguang City, under his control, slammed into the black and white chains. This! Chen Daoxian raised his head subconsciously, and suddenly saw an immortal city lying in front of him, completely blocking the Demon Court Emperor from the battlefield between him and the 3 heavenly venerate world demons. Clang! With a loud noise, the chains formed by Yin and Yang were directly blocked by Yaoguang City. Good! What a Wuhe Tianzuan! What a Yaoguang Xiancheng! When the Yaoting Emperor saw Yaoguang's city standing in front of him, his eyebrows trembled with anger. If it weren't for this Yaoguang city, he would have killed Wuhe Tianzuan long ago, and it would have been difficult for him to entangle with a mere 7 tribulations Tianzuan for so long. But these immortal cities were originally one of the strongest cards left by the ancient true immortals of the Phoenix Meteor Realm to the cultivators of the future generations of the Phoenix Meteor Realm. It was not that easy for the real demon world to capture them easily. If it weren't for this, the human race cultivator would not be able to stand still with the world demon for hundreds of thousands of years. Master, save me! Being besieged by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers, the Jinpeng world demon finally couldn't stand it anymore. In terms of strength, he is only at the level of Heavenly Venerate 2 or 3 tribulations, which is far worse than Heavenly Venerate 5 rivers. Among the many gods in the demon court, the Jinpeng world monster's status is not high. It can be responsible for commanding the world monster army in this battle, more because it has a true immortal level master. Fellow Taoist Wuhe, let go of my disciple, I would like to leave here. How? Seeing his disciple calling for help, the demon court emperor finally gave in. Although he has many disciples, it is not an easy task to train a heavenly venerate disciple. Although many monks are powerful, their disciples are not very promising. Speaking of which, the demon court emperor was lucky, and Jinpeng God made this heavenly venerable world demon as his disciple. Therefore, this demon court emperor must not want to lose this disciple. Hearing this condition, Wuhe Tianzuan only spit out 2 words, dream. You wanna die? The Yaoting emperor was completely enraged, and waving the yin and yang qi flags, he rushed towards Yaoguang's city. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 483. Boom! The black and white yang and yang qi turned into chains, and slapped Yaoguang's city fiercely, making Yaoguang's city tremble. In Yaoguang's city, Wuhe Tianzan's face became extremely ugly as the black and white chains were beaten. Sure enough, it's still too hard. Wuhe Tianzuan secretly said. The true immortal level world demon holds the pure yang immortal artifact. Compared with his existence, who barely achieves true immortal combat power with the help of the formation in Yaoguang city, he is still significantly stronger, not to mention that he has been consumed too much before. Mana. Wuhe Tianzuan estimated that he could only take up to 10 such attacks. After 10 times, Yaoguang city will probably be completely out of control. But, at this moment, he has no choice but to fight with all his strength. Bring it on! Wuhe Tianzan's eyes were like electricity, piercing through the void, and collided with the Yaoting emperor. Humph! You really can't hold it anymore. The demon court emperor sneered, and tapped the yin-yang qi banner with his finger again. Suddenly, 2 more chains stretched out from the void. The 4 giant chains seemed to extend infinitely, directly locking the entire Yaoguang city. Inside Yaoguang city, countless low-level cultivators saw the 4 huge chains outside the light curtain of the formation, and all uttered inexplicable screams of horror. What is this? It's the magic of the world demon. Can Wuhe Tianzuan win? Don't be silly. With the help of Yaoguang city, Wuhe Tianzan's strength is comparable to that of a true immortal. How could he lose? Just when Yaoguang city was in chaos, the battle between Chen Daoxian and the 3 heavenly venerate world demons was finally determined. Even if you kill me, my master will never let you go. Finally, the Jinpeng world demon took the lead and couldn't hold it anymore. To be besieged by 1,000 5-star insect soldiers who are not afraid of death, even the heavenly venerate transcends tribulation, is unbearable. You must know that each of these 1,000 5-star insect soldiers is no weaker than their 7th team leader Wei Zhongwu in terms of individual strength. To be honest, it was a bit unexpected for Chen Daoxian to be able to hold the Jinpeng world demon. According to his estimation, the Jinpeng world demon should not last long. Chen Daoxian can only attribute it to the fact that he underestimated the strength of the heavenly venerate world demon. You will definitely die, you will definitely. The Jinpeng world monster wailed, and a 5-star insect soldier broke through its weakest defense, and then got into its brain. Immediately afterwards, one after another, the insect soldiers drilled in from the wound. Immediately, the wailing sound of the Jinpeng world demon became more and more desolate. It struggled desperately and rampaged, but it was of no avail under the suppression of the remaining hundreds of 5-star insect soldiers. In the end, the wailing of the Jinpeng world demon gradually ceased. At this point, this heavenly venerate world demon finally died in the hands of Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian was in a trance when he saw a heavenly venerate world demon being besieged to death by his insect soldiers. Although this world monster was not killed by his own hands, it seems that there is not much difference between being killed by the insect soldiers under his control and being killed by himself. After all, this can be counted as part of his strength, even though he borrowed external force. When the remaining 2 world demons saw that Jinpeng God was about to die in front of them, their expressions suddenly became extremely desperate. "Master, help! Master, help!" The 2 world demons screamed desperately, and their voices penetrated the void and entered the ears of the Yaoting Emperor. "Peng'er is dead, Peng'er is dead." The Yaoting Emperor and teacher looked crazy. "I want you to be buried with my disciples. Die for me. Die for me." Boom! In the void, one after another black and white chains stretched out from the void. Under the count, there were a total of 6 black, 6 white and 12 chains. As soon as these giant chains stretched out from the void, they were tied to Yaoguang City, squeezing the entire Yaoguang City, and the formation light curtain outside the city would shatter at any time. In Yaoguang City, the pale-faced Wuhe Tianzuan was relieved, and his face became extremely relaxed. The demon court emperor, who was madly attacking, also found something wrong. He turned his head and looked into the depths of the void. I saw that a light boat quickly flew towards the 2 sides of the war. At this moment, billions of miles around are all imprisoned by the world demon and Yaoguang City. It stands to reason that unless there is power beyond Yaoguang City and the true immortal level world demon, it is absolutely impossible to teleport in this area. Just when the light boat attracted the attention of all the top powerhouses on both sides, Chen Daoxian commanded the insect soldiers with all his strength, and killed the remaining 2 heavenly venerate world monsters one by one on the spot. So far, a total of 3 heavenly venerate world demons have died in his hands in this battle. In terms of record, Chen Daoxian is number 1. After solving the battle here, Chen Daoxian also turned his attention to the depths of the void. I saw a tribulation cultivator carrying silver metal wings and holding a silver spear weapon, stepping on a light boat and heading straight for the demon court emperor. This momentum. Chen Daoxian didn't know how to describe it. His cultivation base is still shallow, but through pure yang energy, he can still distinguish between the heavenly transcending tribulation heavenly venerate and the Mahayana true immortal. Obviously, this galloping monk is not a Mahayana true immortal, but a transcending tribulation heavenly venerate. A mere robbery Tianzuan, but dared to take action on a true immortal level world demon. Why? Chen Daoxian was very puzzled. But soon, he knew why the other party was. When the demon court emperor saw the heavenly venerate Du Jia who stabbed him with a gun, his face became more serious than before. Next moment, the demon court emperor directly displayed a demon body, a golden rock with a wingspan of over 100,000 zhang. It was also a Jinpeng world monster. No wonder the Jinpeng world monster died just now. The demon court emperor was so angry. It turned out that the one who died was not only its disciple, but also its ethnicity. But the Du Jia Tianzuan, who was carrying silver wings, did not display his Dharma image, but continued to stab at the Jinpeng realm demon with a wingspan of 100,000 zhang. Against the background of the endless void, the two are like the difference between a demon and an ant. But at this moment, no one or world demon dared to underestimate this ant. On the silver spear, a cold light suddenly appeared, and then this cold light turned into a light, which went straight through the wings of this golden-winged Dupeng with a wingspan of more than 100,000 zhang. In terms of size, even the silver spears can't compare to a speck of dust on this golden-winged Dupeng with a wingspan of 100,000 feet. But it was this dust that penetrated the body of the golden-winged Dupeng and left a terrifying gap on it. Chen Daoxuan's visual observation shows that the gap is 1,000 feet in diameter. Even if it is placed on this golden-winged Dupeng with a wingspan of 100,000 feet, it is still a big wound. But the Demon Court Emperor seemed to be fine, and the wound healed in an instant. When Chen Daoxian saw this, his expression became heavy. Although the immortal body is strong, it also depends on the opponent. Generally, the attacks of monks of the same rank cannot be resisted directly by the indestructible real body. But this Demon Court Emperor obviously relied on the demon body to be tyrannical and directly resist the damage of the Silver Spear Cultivator. Silver Wing Tianzuan. The Yaoting Emperor glanced at the wound that had recovered as before, and said with a sneer, "I have long heard that there are several transcendental Jia Tianzuan who have reached the threshold of true immortals in the Guangyuan realm, and I am finally fortunate to meet one today. It's a pity that you are not a true immortal of Mahayana. Without immortal power, you can't hurt my demon body. Try it." The silver-winged Tianzuan didn't talk nonsense. After spit out 2 words, the silver wings flashed and rushed towards the Yaoting Emperor again. Chen Daoxian found that compared to the silver spear weapon in his hand, the silver-winged Tianzuan was really terrifying about his speed. Even if Chen Daoxian tried his best to capture it with his divine sense, he could not find the slightest trace of the opponent's movement. "Quick! Too quick!" Chen Daoxian exclaimed, "It's countless times faster than my divine sense reaction speed, such a fast speed, no need for teleportation and escape techniques. With this terrifying speed alone, he is simply invincible in battle." In fact, as Chen Daoxian said, under the restraint of the terrifying speed of Ini Tianzuan, this Yaoting Emperor is like a living target to be played. No matter how hard it struggles, it doesn't help, it can only be passively beaten. Although it's said that Ini Tianzuan had no immortal power and could not hurt his demon body. In fact, under the attack of Ini Tianzuan again and again, the Demon Court Emperor found that the recovery speed of his demon body had slowed down. This discovery made the Demon Court Emperor terrified. This Silver Wing Heavenly Venerable's attack power is obviously far inferior to him, but the other party relies on his escape speed far exceeding his speed to tease it between applause. The Yaoting Emperor knew that this battle could not continue. Although it has confidence and continues to consume it, this Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate cannot kill it. After all, the other party is only Heavenly Venerate Transcendence Tribulation. If he wants to break out an attack comparable to a true immortal, he will inevitably consume a lot of mana. When the two are consumed, who wins and who loses is still a matter of two to say. But what is certain is that Silver Wing Tianzuan will definitely not be defeated. Just because the opponent's speed is too fast, he can get away at any time if he can't beat him, but this Demon Court Imperial Master is different. Once he can't beat him, he can't run even if he wants to. Thinking of this, the Demon Court Emperor has already begun to retreat. Wow! In the void, 12 black and white chains scattered directly, and the trapped Yaoguang city finally lifted the ban. The release of Yaoguang city also reduced some of the pressure on the Yaoting Emperor. Correspondingly, the pressure on the Ini Tianzuan who was fighting against him also increased. See this scene. Naturally, Wuhe Tianzuan would not sit and watch Ini Tianzuan fight alone. He was controlling Yaoguang city and slammed into this Jinpeng with a wingspan of 100,000 zhang. Boom! Under the impact of Yaoguang city, the Demon Court Emperor staggered suddenly, and his golden wings fell countlessly. At this moment, the Yaoting Emperor spit out a word, "Withdraw." After all, he spread his wings and flew into the depths of the void. Seeing their commander-in-chief fleeing for their lives, the rest of the Heavenly Venerate world monsters fled. Unfortunately, this Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate will obviously not give them this chance. I saw Ini Tianzuan turned into a silver light, constantly shuttled in the demon tide. Every time he flashed, there was a Tianzuan-level world demon killed in his hands. One shot one. Chen Daoxuan's eyelids jumped when he saw this scene. The same as the Heavenly Venerate, even if he released 10,000, no, 100,000 5-star insect soldiers, it would not be of any use to this Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate. Quantity can sometimes bring about qualitative change, but under the difference of absolute speed, no amount of quantity is useless. Chen Daoxuan's 5-star insect soldier was already fast enough, but he could barely capture a bit of trajectory with his divine sense. And this silver wing heavenly venerate, even if his consciousness is 10 times stronger, he will not be able to capture the slightest trace. In the face of this terrifying speed, what is the use of his insect soldiers? Inside Yaoguang City, the sergeants guarding the city and the ordinary monks in the city saw that the silver-winged Tianzuan was free to kill 7 in and 7 out in the demon tide, and regarded ordinary world monsters as nothing, and everyone's morale was stimulated. The human race will win. The human race will win. The human race will win. The sound was sparse at first, and finally became one piece, shaking the entire Yaoguang city. Seeing that the silver wing heavenly venerate was going to chase again, Wuha heavenly venerate hurriedly said, "Brother Silver Wing, don't chase anymore, be careful to ambush." Hear this. Silver Wing Tianzuan returned to Yaoguang City after killing the last Tianzuan level world demon queen. Just returned to Yaoguang City, Ini Tianzuan looked at Wuha Tianzuan, who was extremely pale, and frowned. "Brother Wuha, are you alright?" Wuha Tianzuan shook his head, then bowed his hands to Ini Tianzuan, and said with a wry smile, "Thank you Brother Ini for your help in time, otherwise I'm afraid I'll be more fortunate this time." Ini Tianzuan nodded and said again, "Strange, why did Yao Ting choose to launch such a big offensive this time? Could it be that Yao Ting has unified the real demon world?" Hearing this, Wuha Tianzan's face changed suddenly, and he immediately shook his head. "Impossible, it is not that we can't gather any information in the real demon world. It's impossible for us to get no information on such a big thing." 2. Silver Wing Tianzuan paused. "Brother Wuha, I think you are seriously injured. Do you need to return to Guangyuan realm to cultivate?" "But this Yaoguang city." Wuha Tianzuan looked hesitant. "Brother Wuha, don't worry, with me here, you are afraid that Yaoguang city will not be lost." Hearing this, Wuha Tianzuan finally felt relieved. He bowed his hands to Ini Tianzuan and said with a smile, "I'm relieved if you say this, Ini brother. Brother Wuha, you should be near the 8th thunder tribulation, right? Come on, I'm going to take advantage of this injury to survive the 8th thunder calamity in Guangyuan realm." Hearing this, Ini Tianzuan looked happy, and said, "Then I wish Brother Wuha a smooth crossing of the calamity and become the new pillar of my human race." Wuha Tianzuan smiled and said with a smile, "Borrow the silver wing Brother Ji Yan." Inside Yaoguang City, Wei Zhongwu looked at Chen Daoxian with a complicated expression, not knowing what to say for a while. Chen Daoxian also felt the awkward atmosphere between each other. He silently retracted the insect soldiers of his team members, and then smiled at Wei Zhongwu and said, "Captain, why are you looking at me like this?" Wei Zhongwu said angrily, "Why should I look at you? I think our brigade has a soldier with an amazing background like you. I don't know anything about it." After speaking, Wei Zhongwu frowned and said, "If I remember it well, aren't you from Fengyun realm?" "Exactly, I." "Forget it." Wei Zhongwu waved his hand, "I'm not someone who asks the truth. I don't care what background you have. As long as you are a soldier under me for a day, you have to listen to me." Yes, Chen Daoxian said with a smile, "Then I have to listen to you, Captain." Only then did Wei Zhongwu appear satisfied. He patted Chen Daoxian on the shoulder and said, "With the military exploits you have made today, if I guess right, you may have to end your service period." Chen Daoxian's expression changed. "Captain, what's the meaning of this?" "Brother Shen." Shen Chongqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who, everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Chongqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said, in the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Chongqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Chongqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the demon suppression division is divided into two occupations, one is the guardian envoy and the other is the demon slayer. Anyone who enters the demon suppression division starts from the lowest level of demon slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a guardian envoy. Shen Chongqing's predecessor was a trainee slayer in the demon suppression division, and he was also the lowest ranked slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long, Shen Chongqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the demon suppression division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the suppression demon division. At this time, the door to the attic was open, and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Chongqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with the faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Jinmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 484. Wei Zhongwu smiled mysteriously, you will know when the time comes. Perhaps, there is a big opportunity waiting for you. After Chen Daoxian heard this, he became even more puzzled. But before he could ask further questions, the voice of Wu He Tianzuan came from the sea of knowledge. Chen Daoxian's expression changed slightly, and he bowed to Wei Zhongwu and said, Captain, Tianzuan is looking for me, I'll go first. Go! Wei Zhongwu waved his hand. Yaoguang City Lord's Mansion. It was the first time for Chen Daoxian to come here in Yaoguang City for more than half a year. The layout of the City Lord's Mansion is very simple, and it is impossible to see that this is the dojo of a transcending robbery. In the Fengyan world, even the dojo of the Yuanying cultivator is 10 times more imposing than this City Lord's Mansion. Under the guidance of a Taoist boy, Chen Daoxian walked slowly to a courtyard. Inside the courtyard, a young Taoist with a white face and no beard is sitting under a locust tree and drinking tea quietly. It is Wu He Tianzuan. Next to Wu He Tianzuan sat a stern monk. Although he did not carry silver metal wings, Chen Daoxian recognized at a glance that this was the silver-winged Tianzuan who solved the siege of Yaoguang City. He is also a powerful heavenly venerate whose combat power has broken through the limit of tribulation. Its strength is much stronger than Wu He Tianzuan. Seeing Chen Daoxian approaching the two of them, Ini Tianzuan looked up at him, then looked at Wu He Tianzuan, and said, Brother Wu He, is this the person who made the first contribution to the defense of Yaoguang City? Exactly. Wu He Tianzuan nodded, then looked at Chen Daoxian and said with a smile, Why are you standing still? I haven't seen Silver-Wing Tianzuan soon. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian hurried forward, bowed and said, Junior Chen Daoxian, I have seen Ini Tianzuan and Wu He Tianzuan. Exemption. Ini Tianzuan waved his hand, then looked at Wu He Tianzuan, frowned and said, Brother Wu He, have you thought about it? Are you sure you want to give him your recommendation? Well, I figured it out. Hearing this, Ini Tianzuan sighed, That's right, there is no influence behind you, you are free, naturally you will give the quota to whoever you want. After saying that, he looked at Chen Daoxian again. Although this kid is weak, he can make his first contribution in this war, and his military merit is enough. Anyway, let's do it with you. Silver-Wing Tianzuan waved his hand and stopped persuading. When Chen Daoxian heard the conversation between the two, he was dumbfounded at the moment, not knowing what kind of riddle the two were playing. Just when he was extremely confused, Wu He Tianzuan smiled and said, Are you curious about what we are talking about? Chen Daoxian nodded numbly. Chen Daoxian, let me ask you, If you rely on your own cultivation, how confident are you that you will break through to the transcendence period? Chen Daoxian frowned, and after a while, he said firmly, 10%. Silver Wing Tianzuan, who was originally careless, immediately laughed when he heard this. He looked at Wuhe Tianzuan jokingly, and said with a smile, Brother Wuhe, how is it? Was this junior slapped in the face? A trace of embarrassment flashed across Wuhe Tianzuan's face. He glanced at Chen Daoxian angrily and reprimanded in a low voice, don't be blindly confident. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian opened his mouth, and finally lowered his head and stopped defending. He can't tell Wuhe Tianzuan that he has the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, and has unlimited power of good fortune to help him expand the Xianhuang realm, and the road is smooth. Not to mention the tribulation period, if it weren't for the restrictions of the Phoenix Meteor realm, he would even be 100% confident of breaking through to the Mahayana True Immortal. After a pause, Wuhe Tianzuan said again, even if you are confident enough to break through to the tribulation transcendence period, how long will it take? Now that it is imperative for the demon court to unify the real demon world, maybe a full-scale war will break out between the two worlds. At that time, there is not enough strength to stand by. How will you and your relatives survive this catastrophe? This sentence can be said to speak to Chen Daoxian's heart. Sui said he is very confident in his potential, but potential is just potential after all. Before the potential is transformed into strength, even if he can become a golden immortal in the future, he may be killed by a high-level heavenly venerate world demon now. Time, since Chen Daoxian practiced, the most lacking thing has always been time. If he had been cultivating for thousands of years like other primordial spirit cultivators, he would have broken through to the tribulation transcendence period by now, and it was not an ordinary tribulation transcendence period. But like Wuhe Tianzuan and Ini Tianzuan, he is a Tianzuan cultivator who has almost reached the limit of tribulation. Seeing that Chen Daoxian did not speak, Wuhe Tianzuan continued, now, there is an opportunity in front of you, it is up to you to choose or not. Chen Daoxian didn't know why, so he cupped his hands and said, please also ask Wuhe Tianzuan to express it. Wuhe Tianzuan smiled, you should know about Guanyuan realm, right? Chen Daoxian nodded. Although we all came from the Phoenix Meteor realm, since the ancient times, the foundation of my human cultivator has been replaced by the Guanyuan realm and other heavenly venerate realms in the inner territory. Wuhe Tianzuan continued, this is also the reason why Fengyun realm doesn't even have a transcendence Tianzuan. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was shocked. He still doesn't understand the meaning of this five rivers heavenly venerate. It turns out that since the ancient times, the Phoenix Meteor realm has been abandoned by them. You must have guessed it. That's right, Fengyun realm has long been abandoned by us. Then why? On the side, Ini Tianzuan said, you want to ask, since Fengyun realm has been abandoned, what are we still doing in Liangjiuan? Seeing that Chen Daoxian did not speak, Ini Tianzuan explained, we give up the Phoenix Meteor realm, which does not mean that our human monks are willing to surrender it to the true demon realm to be swallowed up. These are two different things. That's right. Wuhe Tianzuan nodded, the real demons in the real demon world have great ambitions. What they want is not just a phoenix world, but also our entire human race. Chen Daoxian suddenly realized that for human monks, spiritual energy is essential, but for the real demon world, spirituality is what they really desire. And the human race monks have a lot of spirituality, and even the monks can create spirituality out of thin air when they step into the creation realm. One can imagine how tempting this is for the world demon. What the two heavenly venerates mean, the world demon not only wants the real demon world to devour me Fengyun world, but also wants to keep my human race in captivity? Wuhe Tianzuan nodded, and Ini Tianzuan said solemnly, even if you are in the Fengyun realm, you must be no stranger to the fact that the demons keep the human race in captivity. Cut off. It's just that these passages can't accommodate high-level cultivators to pass through, and it doesn't make much sense. It turns out that they know everything. That's right, as the highest level of human cultivators in the Fengyun realm, what secrets can they hide from them? Although the Phoenix Meteor realm is incomparably vast, for a monk of the level of the Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate, that's all. From ancient times to the present, the Fengyun realm has long been explored by human monks. There are few monks in Wanxinghai and the northwest border, because the resources are really poor, not because it is an unknown place for other monks. Heavenly Zun clearly sees the autumn leaves. Chen Daoxian didn't hide it. We have indeed occupied several small demon kingdoms in the real demon world, and we have also seen and heard about the world demon captive human race. Humph. These human races are all descendants of the human race that the world monsters kidnapped from the Phoenix meteor realm during the war between the world monsters and my human race monks in ancient times. Speaking of this, Ini Tianzan's eyes shone with cold light. No wonder he slaughtered those Tianzuan-level world monsters before, and he started so ruthlessly. From the expression on Silver Wing Tianzan's expression at this time, it can be seen how much he hates the real demon realm. Brother Silver Wing. Wuhe Tianzuan whispered something. The murderous aura on Ini Tianzuan slowly subsided, and then he closed his eyes and stopped talking. Wuhe Tianzuan coughed softly and continued, because we decided to put the foundation of the human race in the Guanyuan realm. Over the past hundreds of thousands of years, we have only one attitude towards the Phoenix realm, and that is to ask for it. He sighed. I know, as a cultivator in the Fengyun realm, you must have been very dissatisfied with us, and even hated us. Why are there so many resources in the Fengyun realm, but ordinary cultivators have had such hardships, and they don't even have the resources to practice? You guessed it right, most of these resources have been acquired by us, and even the top geniuses in the Phoenix meteor world have been absorbed by us. Chen Daoxian suddenly thought that once the monks in the Fengyun realm broke through to the Yuanshan stage, they would be forced to serve in the battlefield outside the two realms. Come to think of it, the purpose of doing this is not for this little bit of Yuanshan Daijin's combat power, but to select top geniuses from the Phoenix meteor realm. You must know how good the talent should be to be able to cultivate to the primordial spirit stage in such a barren resource environment as the Phoenix meteor realm, especially the cultivator who is not from a large sect. The talent is even better. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian knows that the fact is as Wuhe Tianzuan said, the meaning of the existence of the Phoenix meteor realm is the place for resource acquisition and talent transfer in the inner territory of the two realms. If he guessed correctly, the real core of the human cultivator should be the Guanyuan realm. Wuhe Tianzuan looked at Chen Daoxian, who bowed his head and said, however, we have no other way. The real demon world has been devouring the Phoenix world, and this process is irreversible. Although there is a formation blocking by the ancient real immortals, it only delays the swallowing speed of the real demon world, and does not stop the swallowing of the real demon world. At this rate, sooner or later, the Phoenix meteor realm will be completely swallowed up by the true demon realm, and it is impossible for us to use the Phoenix meteor realm as the foundation of our development. Chen Daoxian could feel that these words were indeed the words of Wuhe Tianzuan. In this matter, the celestial venerable of the human race has absolutely no selfishness. Otherwise, it is impossible for them to give up the Fengyun realm, which is higher in the world, and choose the slightly inferior Guanyuan realm as the foundation. I'm telling you this just to let you know that everything we do is to enable the race to continue. Everything is a helpless choice. There was a hint of sadness in Wuhe Tianzan's tone. He knew that for the continuation of the plan of the human race, the humans and monks in Fengyun realm had paid too much, but the monks in the inner territory of the two realms had paid too much. As the absolute main force guarding the battlefield outside the two realms, the cultivators in the inner realms suffered heavy casualties every year, which was shocking. But for the great wish of the continuation of the human race, no one backed down. This is also the reason why many cultivators from the inner territory look down on the cultivators of the Fengyun realm. In the eyes of these inner territory cultivators, the cultivators in the Fengyun realm would only serve their own selfish interests, and they were greedy for life and fear of death. But in the eyes of the cultivators of Fenjianji, the cultivators in the inner domain robbed them of too many resources, and they often ridiculed them for being greedy for life and fear of death. In the Guanyuan realm, the cultivator from the Fengyun realm and the cultivator from the inner territory had serious conflicts. But in order to fight against the demons, the two sides were able to let go of their prejudices. The senior human race is also very clear about this situation, but as long as they don't make too much trouble, they usually turn a blind eye. For example, Wuhe Tianzuan is a cultivator from the Fengyun realm, while the silver-winged Tianzuan was born in the inner territory, and there is a top power behind it. Wuhe Tianzuan was born in the Phoenix meteor world, and there is naturally no top power behind him, which is why he can easily hand over this place to Chen Daoxian. I've been talking for so long, and I haven't told you what this quota is. Wuhe Tianzuan shook his head. This title is an opportunity for the primordial spirit cultivator to quickly break through to the tribulation period. What? Chen Daoxian looked horrified, but I'm only on the 3rd floor of the world realm, and am still far from the tribulation period. Unimportant. Wuhe Tianzuan smiled and said, my human race can support hundreds of thousands of years in Liangjian. Apart from the formation defense line left by the ancient real immortals, the most important reason is the chance I mentioned. It is precisely because of it that our human race monks can continuously give birth to tribulation monks and defend the line of defense. At this point, Chen Daoxian finally knew why the human race cultivator was able to stalemate with the world demon for hundreds of thousands of years. No matter how bad the world demons are, they will continue to produce true immortal combat power from a source of energy, and the human race monks are different. Out of the major immortal cities built by the ancient real immortals, there are only a handful of people who can possess the power of the real immortals.
That is to say, there are not many tribulation monks in the entire human race, such as Ini Tianzuan, who have reached the combat power of true immortals, which is very rare. This is also the reason why the human race is reluctant to arrange Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate to be the guard in Xiancheng, because doing so is a great waste of Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate's combat power. A rare catastrophe monk like Silver Wing Tianzuan is more suitable as an assault rescue force. Just like this time, it was because of his rescue that Yaoguang City was finally saved. Otherwise, even if Chen Daoxian had more than 2,000 5-star insect soldiers, he would not be able to stop a true immortal-level world demon. Again, once the strength gap reaches a certain level, the number loses its meaning. Chen Daoxian was able to use 1,000 5-star insect soldiers to surround and kill Jinpeng, but against the Emperor Yaoting, he might not even be able to break through the opponent's defense. This is the gap. Unless Chen Daoxian can master a group of insect soldiers with high-level Tianzuan-level combat power. But this kind of insect soldier is so easy to be promoted. This time, Chen Daoxian caught up with the super-large demon wave, and he worked hard to get more than 30 million world demon corpses. Next time there is such an opportunity, I don't know, it will be the year of the monkey. Wuhe Tianzuan looked at Chen Daoxian. I just ask you, would you like to go with me to Guangyuan realm? On the side, Ini Tianzuan also opened his eyes and looked at Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian looked at the two of them, nodded and said, would like to go with Tianzuan. It is good. Wuhe Tianzuan nodded in relief. Wuhe Tianzuan, who was also from the Fengyun realm, knew that the cultivators of the Fengyun realm were naturally very disgusted with the practices of the inner territory of the two realms. After all, no one would want to be the one who was sacrificed. Even if this sacrifice is the best option. Brother Shen. Shen Chongqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who. Everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Chongqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said. In the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Chongqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters.
Shen Chongqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into two occupations, one is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shen Changqing's predecessor was a trainee Slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest ranked Slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the Town Demon Division. It didn't take too long, Shen Changqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the Demon Suppression Division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the Suppression Demon Division. At this time, the door to the attic was open, and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Changqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with the faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Jinmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 485. But Chen Daoxian hesitated, the younger generation has something to ask for. Say. Wuhe Tianzhen's words are concise and to the point. Seeing the other party's attitude, Chen Daoxian was slightly relieved, and said, the junior has a Taoist companion who served at the same time as the junior and was assigned to the Wujiu theater. The junior dared to ask the senior to take care of one or two. What's your Taoist companion's name? Concubine Chen Xue. Chen Daoxian told the truth. I saw Wuhe Tianzuan closed his eyes and was silent for a moment, then opened his eyes, waved his hand, and a phantom of Fei Chen Xue appeared in front of Chen Daoxian. Is it her? Chen Daoxian looked happy, and hurriedly handed over, exactly. Wuhe Tianzuan nodded, don't worry, although I can't let her end her service directly, there is no problem in mobilizing her to the rear. But if you want to really take care of your Dao companion, you have to be strong enough. For example, if you break through to the transcending tribulation period, you can even become the guard of the immortal city where your Dao companion is located. Until then, you can naturally shelter her. Wuhe Tianzhen's words are cruel but true. The top powerhouses of the human race pay silently, and naturally they also have privileges that ordinary monks do not have. This is common sense. Otherwise, the strong and the weak have the same rights, wouldn't it be unfair to the strong? Compared with the situation where the sect clans of Fengyun realm were fighting each other, the cultivators of Liangjiuan were much better. This point, although Chen Daoxian came here not long ago, he has already felt it. Comparing Liangjiuan and Fenjianji, the biggest drawback is probably that this place is too dangerous. But the danger is only for the weak, such as the Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate. Even if it is open and fair in the outer battlefield, it is the danger of the world demon, not the Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate. This is the change brought about by power. Chen Daoxian's current strength is not too weak. Although his own cultivation and strength are not strong, he has a group of extremely powerful insect soldiers in his hands. Relying on this group of insect soldiers, Chen Daoxian even dared to compete with the middle and high-level Heavenly Venerate world demon. This is also Chen Daoxian's biggest hole card so far. It's just a pity that Chen Daoxian's hole card has almost been leaked. But it doesn't matter, Wuhe Tianzuan has already promised to give his recommendation to Chen Daoxian, so that he can quickly break through to the Tribulation Transcendence stage and become a Tribulation Transcendence cultivator. Although Chen Daoxian didn't know how to quickly break through to the tribulation period, he believed that with the strength and status of Wuhe Tianzuan, he would not deceive him, especially on the premise that he made the first contribution. Chen Daoxian had nothing else to worry about when he explained the matter of his good concubine Chen Xue. On the side, Yini Tianzuan said, Brother Wuhe, your injury is not serious. It is better to go to Guangyuan realms sooner rather than later. Let's start now. It is good. Wuhe Tianzuan said, then, Yaoguang city will be handed over to you. People are in the city. Hearing this, Wuhe Tianzuan nodded reassuringly. Afterwards, he waved his sleeves and disappeared into the courtyard with Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian only felt a flower in front of his eyes, and his figure came to a height of 10,000 feet above Yaoguang City. Looking down, the houses and pedestrians on the street are the size of matchboxes and ants. Wuhe Tianzuan glanced at it with nostalgia and sighed, "Let's go." "Say it." The figures of Chen Daoxian and Wuhe Tianzuan disappeared directly in place. After this trip to Guangyuan realm, Wuhe Tianzuan will definitely no longer serve as the guard of Yaoguang City. Wuhe Tianzuan has been sitting in Yaoguang City since breaking through to the tribulation period. Except for every calamity crossing, he has hardly left this fairy city. It can be said that the life of Wuhe Tianzuan is almost bound to this fairy city. Although Yaoguang City has greatly increased the strength of Wuhe Tianzuan, for him, it is not a cage. But for the continuation of the human race, he had to sit in Yaoguang City and imprison himself here. After leaving this time, Wuhe Tianzuan has mixed feelings, both reluctance and liberation. No matter whether he can survive the 8th Thunder Calamity this time, he will no longer serve as the guardian of Yaoguang Town. If he failed to survive the 8th Thunder Tribulation, there would be nothing to say about the soul flying away. If he survives the 8th Thunder Calamity and becomes the same 8 Robbery Heavenly Venerate as Silver Wing Heavenly Venerate, Wuhe Heavenly Venerate will sit in the main city. Every 8 Tribulations Heavenly Venerate of the human race is the ceiling of the human race cultivator. Silver Wing Tianzuan is like this, and the future Wuhe Tianzuan is likely to be the same. It's just that the road that Wuhe Tianzuan will take in the future may be different from that of Silver Wing Tianzuan. Silver Wing Tianzuan exists as a strategic rescue force in Guangyuan realm because its own combat power far exceeds that of cultivation. And the General 8 Tribulations Tianzuan does not have the combat power of the Silver Wing Tianzuan, and they often choose to become the main town guardian. In fact, the 8 Tribulations Tianzuan has become the main town guard. With the help of the battle power that the main city can erupt, it is even more terrifying than the Silver Wing Tianzuan. The only weakness is that the main town guard cannot leave a certain range of the main city. Otherwise, not only will the strength return to the normal 8 Tribulations Heavenly Venerate, but also unforeseen dangers will be encountered. For a human powerhouse like Ini Tianzuan, the world demon is very troubled, but the ordinary 8th Tribulation Tianzuan of the human race is different. These 8 Robbery Tianzuan are not as difficult to kill as Ini Tianzuan. As long as the information is accurate, if you are ambushed by the world demon, you will basically be caught and killed. Therefore, in Liangjiyuan, the whereabouts of the ordinary transcending tribulation Tianzuan are highly confidential, not only the main town guard, but also the guard town guard. Although Guangyuan realm can continue to transcend tribulation cultivators early, compared with cultivators in Yuanshan stage and even Yuanying stage, the birth of tribulation cultivators is much more difficult, and they cannot be consumed at will. This can be seen from the fact that the main city and the acropolis of the human race have not been guarded by Tianzuan in full. Guangyuan realm is located in the inner realm of Liangjiyuan human race. Outside the defense line constructed by Yaoguang City, the acropolis, and the main city, it is called an extraterritorial battlefield. On the light boat, Wuhe Tianzuan introduced. Chen Daoxian frowned and said puzzled, "Tianzuan, is the inner domain so far away from the outer battlefield?" The two have been on the light boat for more than a month, but they have not yet arrived in the inner domain, which makes Chen Daoxian feel that the distance from the outer domain to the inner domain is very far away. Wuhe Tianzuan nodded, "Yes, it is very far." Then the first time I took the 2 realms teleportation array to reach the place, isn't it an extraterritorial battlefield? Wuhe Tianzuan looked at him with a smile, "Don't you think that the teleportation formation between the 2 realms will lead to the inner realm?" Chen Daoxian didn't know how to answer. Indeed, they came to Liangjiyuan for service, not for vacation. The cross-border teleportation formations of Feng Yunjie and Liangjiyuan are naturally located in the outer battlefield. Wuhe Tianzuan said again, "Actually, the real main force of the war outside the territory is the monks in the inner region. Over the years, the Phoenix Meteor realm may be due to the lack of resources, and fewer monks go to serve in the battlefield outside the region." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian's mouth moved, but in the end he didn't say anything. He is very clear that it is not the lack of resources that Wu Tianzuan said that the number of cultivators in service has been reduced, but that the cultivators of Yuanshan in the Phoenix Meteor realm are trying to escape military service. Before Chen Daoxian came to Liangjiyuan, he was also planning how to help concubine Chen Xue evade service. If it wasn't for Tianzunqing's direct order, Chen Daoxian would definitely not let concubine Chen Xue come to serve in the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiyuan so early. But can he say that the cultivator of Fenjianji did something wrong? The Fengyan realm is a world that was abandoned, and the monks in the Fengyan realm are also a group of abandoned people. Although the inner territory cultivators are nominally protecting the Fengyan realm and protecting the inheritance of the human race, for the Fengyan realm cultivators, they did not feel it. Exploited. Although these exploitations are for the purpose of resisting the demons, the cultivators of the Fengyan realm cannot feel them. The estrangement was planted in the hearts of both sides from the very beginning. However, this gap cannot be eliminated at all. Through a short chat with Wu Tianzuan, Chen Daoxian also roughly knew the power system of the Liangjiyuan human race. To put it simply, the power system of Liangjiyuan is very scattered, and it is formed by the combination of major top forces, and these top forces have no affiliation with each other. This has led to a lot of discussion and wrangling when the human race decides on an important matter. Although the monks of the human race have also seen the drawbacks of this power system, the monks pay attention to convincing people with their strength. Everyone is a monk who overcomes the calamity. Who can convince who? Coupled with the forces behind the various monks and the entanglements in different realms, it is difficult for one person to stand up and lead all the human monks. As the leader of the Northern Immortal League, Chen Daoxian knew that leading a party's forces was not an easy task. Strength, qualifications, prestige, and means are all indispensable. He can become the leader of the Northern Immortal League, relying on his own absolute strength and the help of Chen Yuan sword sect. If it weren't for the fact that behind Chen Daoxian, the concubine Chen Xue silently supported him, it would be difficult for him to be the leader of the alliance. If nothing else, just to manage such a large immortal alliance, the Chen family cultivator could not have enough manpower. You must know that the Northern Immortal League managed by Chen Daoxian is a big force with several second-rate sects and a large number of Yuanian families. And what about the Chen family? Apart from Chen Daoxian, the Yuanshan Daojun, there is only one Yuanian cultivator, Chen Fushan. Even if Chen Daoxian can hold down these arrogant soldiers in the Immortal League, can the Chen family hold their subordinates? Impossible. No matter how strong Chen Daoxian is, he cannot let a foundation establishment cultivator control a Jindan cultivator for a long time. The monks only serve the strong, which is both an advantage and a disadvantage. Arrive. Just as Chen Daoxian pondered, the voice of Wu Tianzuan came into his ears. Chen Daoxian looked up, and the light boat under his feet had already dissipated by himself. When the light boat dissipated, a shocking and inexplicable scene came into Chen Daoxuan's eyes. In Chen Daoxuan's eyes, a huge ball of light appeared in front of him. Around this huge ball of light, there were many smaller of light, matched with the dark background of the endless void. This scene is like countless satellites orbiting a star. It's just that the light emitted by this star is not so intense, but extremely soft. This is the inner domain. Wu Tianzuan nodded and said with a smile, "Welcome to the inner world." Chen Daoxian nodded dully. He looked at the largest ball of light. Chen Daoxian knew that it must be the Guanyuan realm. As for the countless small of light around this huge ball of light, they are probably the worlds opened up by Tianzuan realm and other Yuanshan Daijins. In theory, Chen Daoxuan's Xianhuang realm can also be relocated here. Now his Xianhuang realm is floating in the endless void. Although it is hidden, it may encounter some danger one day. Putting the Xianhuang realm here, at least the entire human race will be guarded, so there is no need to worry about being destroyed by the demons. As the foundation of Chen Daoxuan's enlightenment, Zuan Wangji's importance need not be said more. However, it is not an easy thing to move Zuan Wangji here. World teleportation can only be performed by monks reaching the 5th floor of the world. If Chen Daoxian wants to move the Xianhuang realm here, he can only fly over slowly with the Xianhuang realm. This is rather nonsense. It took Chen Daoxian almost a month to travel from the outer battlefield to the inner world in the light boat. As for flying here slowly in the Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxian directly dismissed the idea. The so-called Wangshan ran to the death, the incomparably huge ball of light in front of Chen Daoxian. When he and Wu Tianzuan wanted to fly into this ball of light, it still took them more than a day. This is still Wu Tianzuan taking him. If it is to fly by Chen Daoxian's elusive light, I don't know how much time it will take. Enter the Guanyuan realm. Chen Daoxian only felt that his eyes suddenly brightened. Vitality. Chen Daoxian's first impression when he entered the Guanyuan world was that the world was full of vitality. In the past, he was in the battlefield outside Fengyun realm and Liangjiuan, and he didn't feel deeply. Stepping into Guanyuan realm at this moment, his first impression is that this world is a world full of vitality and hope. In comparison, the aura of the Phoenix meteor realm is full of tyranny and despair. That's right, Chen Daoxian recalled carefully, it was indeed the case. Although Fengyun realm is much wider than Guanyuan realm, Chen Daoxian has never felt vigor and hope in surviving in Fengyun realm. Most of the monks in the Phoenix meteor realm are selfish, and to some extent, they are also affected by the environment of the Phoenix meteor realm. How about it, the Guanyuan realm and the Fengyun realm are very different, aren't they? Wu Tianzuan is also from the Fengyun realm, and he knows nothing about the situation in the Fengyun realm. Chen Daoxian nodded. Compared with Guanyuan realm, the breath of Fengyun realm is more of a kind of despair. Wu Tianzuan sighed, of course it will despair. With the world status of Fengyun realm, it has already given birth to a certain world consciousness. After knowing its own destiny, it will inevitably feel despair and madness. Chen Daoxian nodded, and he couldn't say anything about this matter. The real demon world swallowing the Phoenix meteor world is a game between two worlds. This game is even higher than the Mahayana real immortal. So many real immortals in ancient times couldn't solve this problem, how could he be able to solve it today? Chen Daoxian still has this self-knowledge. Stop talking about these unhappy things, Wu Tianzun's topic changed, let me tell you about breaking through the calamity. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian immediately became highly concentrated. He knew that he would not have much obstacle to breaking through the tribulation transcendence period in the future, but it would take quite a long time. Not to mention the law of the great Tao of the Xianhuang realm, only the worldwide expansion of the Xianhuang realm is the first major difficulty in front of him. Wu Tianzuan continued, I know that your current Tao realm is only at the third level of the world realm. If you want to break through the tribulation period, your Tao realm must reach the creation realm. This requires you to constantly expand the world you have opened up, as well as improve the Tao law of the world you have opened up. Chen Daoxian nodded when he heard this. Brother Shen. Shen Chongqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who. Everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Chongqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said. In the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Chongqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Chongqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into two occupations, one is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shen Chongqing's predecessor was a trainee Slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest ranked Slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long, Shen Chongqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the demon suppression division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the suppression demon division. At this time, the door to the attic was open, and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Chongqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with the faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell of everyone in Jinmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 486. Raising the realm of the Great Tao to the realm of creation is the prerequisite for breaking through the tribulation period. However, it is not an easy thing to achieve this premise, at least, Chen Daoxian is not sure that he can do it in the short term. Follow me. As Wuhe Tianzuan said, he rode Duanguang again and took Chen Daoxian to shuttle in Guangyuan realm. Although Guangyuan realm is far less than Fengyun realm in terms of the size of the world, it is many times larger than other heavenly venerate realms. After all, this is a real fairyland, and it has been operated by human monks for hundreds of thousands of years. Compared with the Guangyuan world hundreds of thousands of years ago, the current Guangyuan world has expanded at least dozens of times. The speed of Wuhe Tianzan's escape was extremely fast, and it didn't take long for a majestic mountain to come into Chen Daoxuan's eyes. This is. Looking at the mansions from the bottom to the top of the mountain in front of him, Chen Daoxian couldn't help asking. This is Tianzuan Mountain. Normally, whether it is an inner territory cultivator or a phoenix meteorite cultivator, after breaking through to the tribulation transcendence period, they will have a mansion here. From the bottom to the top, Tianzuan Mountain is the residence of the heavenly venerate 1 to 8 calamities. Chen Daoxian followed the sight of Wuhe Tianzuan, and gradually focused his eyes on the 107 mansions on the peak of Tianzuan Mountain. These 107 mansions represent the 107 tribulations of the human race. These people are the most powerful heritage of the human race. But it is a pity that the human race has so many heavenly venerates, but no one can break through to the Mahayana true immortal, and can only rely on the formation and immortal city left by the ancient true immortal to stick to the line of defense. Let's go. After Wuhe Tianzuan finished speaking, he walked straight towards Tianzuan Mountain with Chen Daoxian. Although there is no forbidden air formation on Tianzuan Mountain, few people will fly here, which is also respect for other people's Tianzuan. Wuhe Tianzuan explained as he walked. Chen Daoxian nodded and followed behind him. With the strength of the two of them, Tianzuan Mountain is naturally no problem, and soon, the two came to the residence of Wuhe Tianzuan. Pushing open the door of the mansion, and sure enough, after entering the mansion, there is something special inside. In Liangjiyuan, Chen Daoxian was accustomed to the way of building a cave in a mansion or a cave. Phoenix Meteor Realm still seems to be a precious cave, and in Liangjiyuan it is simply a rotten street thing. Of course, high-level caves are rare no matter where they are. In front, Wuhe Tianzuan walked and said, "This is the Dongtian Beppu that I built myself." This Dongtian was created by the Jia Yuanzhu left by beheading a Tianzuan-level world demon when I was sitting in Yaoguang City. While they were talking, the three escaped lights quickly flew towards the two of them. When Chen Daoxian saw it clearly, he couldn't help but stunned for a moment. The person who came here was not very high level, and the beautiful woman with the highest level of cultivation among the three had just broken through the primordial spirit stage. As for the other two female cultivators who looked more immature, one was in the early stage of nascent soul, and the other was in the middle stage of nascent soul. Just when Chen Daoxian secretly guessed the relationship between the three female cultivators and Wuhe Tianzuan took the initiative and said, "This is my Taoist companion." He pointed to the beautiful woman in the Yuanshan stage, and then pointed to the other two fairies, "These are my two daughters." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help widening his eyes. The higher the cultivator, the more difficult it is to have children in general. Of course, nothing is absolute. There are still many treasures in this world that can help high-level monks give birth to children, but these treasures are extremely precious. But thinking of the strength of Wu Tianzhen's cultivation base, Chen Daoxian was relieved. There are so many treasures in this world that the other party can't get. The beautiful woman nodded to Chen Daoxian, then looked at Wu Tianzuan, and said with concern, "Husband, you are injured." Small wound. Wu Tianzuan shook his head with a smile, and then said, "You take Sierra and Yuan down first, I have something to explain." Hearing this, the beautiful woman glanced at Chen Daoxian, nodded, and then left with two girls who kept staring at Chen Daoxian like a curious deer. "They'll make you laugh. Although my two daughters have the nascent soul cultivation base, they have never stepped out of the Tianzuan mountain since they were born, so they are not deep in the world. Senior's words are serious, Ling Yuan is innocent and romantic, and Daoxian is very envious of such a pure heart." Chen Daoxian quickly bowed. "Yeah, shouldn't my generation of monks cultivate with a pure heart? Unfortunately, there are too many disputes in this world, and people can't break free." If Wu Tianzuan pointed out. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian remained silent. Along the way, he has experienced a lot of blood and rain, and he has a deeper feeling for Wu Tianzhen's words. Compared with Chen Daoxian and the others, the two daughters of Wu Tianzuan may have never tasted trouble since they were born. Although the human race is threatened by the world monster, no matter how harsh a person is, it is impossible to force the two daughters of a seven-robbery heavenly venerate to serve on the battlefield outside the territory. Privileges exist everywhere, especially in the world of practice. In such a growing environment, how could the two daughters of Wu Tianzuan know the cruelty of this practice world? But then again, with Wu Tianzhen's protection now, his two daughters are naturally safe. If Wu Tianzuan dies in battle one day, this girl who has not been deeply involved in the world must be very desolate. Of course, these things are not in Chen Daoxian's turn to consider. Right now, the unification of the real demon world is imminent, and the war between the human race and the demon world will break out at any time. What Chen Daoxian can do is to do everything in his power to protect the people he wants to protect. Talking room. The two came to the dojo where Wu Tianzuan practiced. Enter the dojo. Wu Tianzuan took Chen Daoxian to the courtyard where he retreated. Although Wu Tianzuan guards Yaoguang City all the year round, the courtyard is still very elegantly cleaned up. Thinking about it, it is the work of the lady of Wu Tianzuan. In the courtyard, a well with a diameter of about zhang-su appeared in Chen Daoxian's eyes. It's just that this well is not filled with spiritual energy, nor spirituality, nor the power of good fortune. This well is very deep, as if it leads to the deepest part of Guanyuan realm. Wu Tianzuan went straight to the well, stretched out his hand to face the well, and stood quietly. Chen Daoxian didn't know what he was doing, so he had to stay quiet. After an unknown amount of time, a khaki bead flew out of the well and was held by Wu Tianzuan in his hand. It's an earth bead, Wu Tianzuan explained. Since I said that you will be promoted to the tribulation stage, I naturally want to help you quickly break through to the creation realm, and this earth bead is one of the treasures that will help you break through to the creation realm. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian took the khaki bead from Wu Tianzhen's hand and looked up and down. From the outside, this bead looked like a spiritual bead with a slight khaki light. The only thing that puzzled him was that he could not judge the grade of this spiritual bead. This also means that this treasure named Earth Bead is not a magic weapon, but a natural spiritual object. As I told you before, to break through to the creation realm, you need to expand the scope of the world you have opened up and improve the Tao law of the world you have opened up. And this bead can help you quickly expand the world. Wu Tianzuan said slowly. What? Chen Daoxian was stunned. There are such treasures in this world. For a long time, the expansion of the Xianhuang realm has relied on the silent cultivation of the captive true monarchs of the Shenqing Dao League, but what makes Chen Daoxian feel helpless is that even if there are more than 100 infant true monarchs for him to drive, the expansion speed of the Xianhuang realm is still unsatisfactory. Perhaps compared with other Taoist monarchs, the expansion of Xianhuang realm is fast enough, but Chen Daoxian can't wait. The world expansion of other Daijins is in units of centuries or even millennia. Chen Daoxian can't wait. Even if he expands the world 10 times faster than other Daijins, it will take more than 100 years, and Chen Daoxian can't wait 100 years. Wuhe Tianzuan continued, with the earth beads, the world you open can expand rapidly. Of course, if you instill the power of good fortune into the earth beads, this process will speed up. Of course, it depends on you. After all, even if you don't instill the power of creation, time is enough. Chen Daoxian understands what Wuhe Tianzuan means when the time is enough. The other party pointed out that with the help of Dizhu, he was enough to catch up with the chance to advance to the tribulation transcendent stage. The rest is the promotion of the Tao law. You come with me. Chen Daoxian continued to follow Wuhe Tianzuan. This time, they came to an abyss in the cave. Looking at the abyss in front of him, Chen Daoxian was a little unclear, just when he was about to ask. Wuhe Tianzuan waved his hand gently. Immediately, the abyss in front of him changed drastically. In Chen Daoxian's eyes, two auras were entangled wildly, one of them was strong, and the other was much weaker. With the entanglement of the two breaths, the strong breath soon swallowed the weak one. As the weak breath was swallowed, an unprecedented clarity of Daoyun escaped. When Chen Daoxian saw this Daoyun, he was about to fall into an epiphany immediately. You know, this time he didn't use the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, he just watched the Tao aggregate once, and he was about to fall into an epiphany. This kind of opportunity is called heaven. At this moment, Chen Daoxian finally realized that the two breaths that were entangled with each other just now were not the breath of the real demon world and the phoenix world. The real demon world is swallowing the phoenix meteor world, and the Daoyun that has just escaped is the leftovers after the real monster world devoured the phoenix meteor world. Although it is a bit of scraps, it is a supreme treasure for monks who are struggling to find the way. Chen Daoxian finally knew why the tribulation monks built their respective mansions here, in order to watch the real demon world devour the Daoyun left by the phoenix world from time to time. Comprehending the Tao here, the speed is many times faster than the outside world. Compared with the Avenue Stone tablet that Chen Daoxian captured in the true immortal origin realm back then, Daoyun here is not sure how many times stronger. The Avenue Stone tablet he captured in the true immortal origin realm back then was just the Tao laws left by the fallen true immortal realm demon, and those Tao laws had long since been eroded by the erosion of time. And the Daoyun here is left over from the Phoenix meteor realm being swallowed up by the true demon realm. In terms of quality, it is not known how much higher than the former. Therefore, it is not an exaggeration to call it the Holy Land of Enlightenment. It's just that Wuhe Tianzuan didn't know that Chen Daoxian didn't really need this Holy Land of Enlightenment. Of course, what he said was not good for Wuhe Tianzuan's famous words. The Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic has always been the deepest secret buried in his heart. Seeing Chen Daoxian's shocked expression, Wuhe Tianzuan nodded and said, "You are here to cultivate for a long time. After 12 years, it will be your chance to ascend to the sky in one step. Don't miss this God-given opportunity." After all, Wuhe Tianzuan was about to leave. "Senior," Chen Daoxian said quickly. Wuhe Tianzuan stopped, turned around and said, "What else?" Chen Daoxian said sternly, "I want to know, why did the senior help me like this?" Hearing this, Wuhe Tianzuan pondered for a moment, and said, "In those days, I was also supported by a senior like this, so you should be the one that fulfills the obsession in my heart. I know that the monks from Fengyun realm generally lack trust in other monks, but I hope you can trust us in the future. After all, there are still many days when we live and die together." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was shocked. Yes, if you don't even trust each other, how can you talk about defending against foreign enemies? At this moment, Chen Daoxian really felt the difference between the Fengyun world and the inner world. It stands to reason that Wuhe Tianzuan was also born in the Fengyun realm, but in him, Chen Daoxian could hardly see the mutual calculations between the monks in the Fengyun realm. Yes, it's just a support to the younger generation and the protection of the human race territory. Including the Guangyuan immortal venerable that Chen Daoxian knew. The world of immortality formed by these people is the world of immortality that he truly yearns for. This world should be like this. Chen Daoxian muttered. Hearing this, Wu Tianzuan smiled slightly, and immediately disappeared. 12 years later, I'll pick you up. Thank you Tianzuan. Chen Daoxian bowed respectfully towards the other party. Chen Daoxuan's gratitude for supporting a younger generation he didn't know so well was beyond words. Although Chen Daoxian made a great contribution in Yaoguang City this time, if it wasn't for the help of Wu Tianzuan, he would never have been able to win the sky-defying chance of being promoted to the tribulation period. In terms of background, Chen Daoxian has no background in Liangjian. In terms of strength, although Chen Daoxian could compete with the ordinary Du Jie Tianzuan with the help of the 5-star insect soldiers, it was only in certain circumstances. Ordinary Du Jie Tianzuan can't beat a group of 5-star insect soldiers, but it is almost impossible for Chen Daoxian to kill Tianzuan by leaps and bounds. Because the Tianzuan-level powerhouse saw something wrong, they had already run away, and they would not give Chen Daoxian a chance to kill. This time in the Battle of Yaoguang City, Chen Daoxian was able to kill 3 heavenly venerate-level world monsters, entirely because the entire battlefield was blocked by Yaoguang City and the world monsters. The 3 heavenly venerate-level demons were unable to perform many teleportation escape techniques, so they were besieged by a group of 5-star insect soldiers and eventually died. It can be said that these 3 heavenly venerate world monsters died quite unjustly. As for Chen Daoxuan's own strength, although it is not weak, it is not strong enough to be on a par with the tribulation period. Not to mention the tribulation period, if you don't count the insect soldiers, even if it is the 5th layer Dao Jun of the world, it is difficult for Chen Daoxian to win the opponent. Although Zile Tianhua is an extremely powerful trump card, it consumes too much fire, and Chen Daoxian can't use it a few times. In the final analysis, his own background strength is not enough. Although he used to be all-powerful in the Yuaning period, but with the promotion of Yuanqian period, these backgrounds were almost completely consumed. Brother Shen. Shen Chongqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who. Everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Chongqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said. In the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Chongqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Chongqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the Demon Suppression Division is divided into 2 occupations, one is the Guardian Envoy and the other is the Demon Slayer. Anyone who enters the Demon Suppression Division starts from the lowest level of Demon Slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a Guardian Envoy. Shen Chongqing's predecessor was a trainee slayer in the Demon Suppression Division, and he was also the lowest-ranked slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long, Shen Chongqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the Demon Suppression Division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the Suppression Demon Division. At this time, the door to the attic was open, and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Chongqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with the faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but then quickly stretched. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Jinmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 487. Watching Wuhe Tianzuan leave. Chen Daoxian looked at the abyss in front of him. He did not rush to understand the avenue, but first took out the beads that Wuhe Tianzuan borrowed from him, and looked at it carefully. Chen Daoxian looked at it for a moment, and then his figure disappeared in place. Next moment, Chen Daoxian's figure has already appeared in the Xianhuang world. Today's Xianhuang realm, with the cultivation of the captured true monarch of the Xianqing Dao Alliance, is a huge world with a diameter of more than 3,000 miles. But compared with the world of other Taoist monarchs, Chen Daoxian's Xianhuang world is still a little too shabby. As he broke through to the Yuanshan stage, the Xianhuang realm was already directly related to his own strength. Therefore, Chen Daoxian has always attached great importance to the expansion of the Xianhuang realm. But attaching importance to it, the expansion of the world has its own limitations. Even if Chen Daoxian wants to expand rapidly, he is powerless. Compared with other Daijins, Chen Daoxian has no shortage of the power of creation needed for the expansion of the Xianhuang realm. What he lacked was precisely the time that other Taoists valued the least. Stepping on the solid ground of Xuanhuangji, looking at the green grass under his feet, and seeing the mountain peaks with water chestnuts for the first time in the distance, Chen Daoxian nodded secretly. Although it didn't take long for him to step into the third floor of the world realm, with the efforts of more than 100 true monarchs, the concentration of spiritual energy and the landform environment in the Xianhuang realm appeared to be more and more vibrant. I have to admit that Yao Cai and others did a pretty good job, and they didn't slack off. Immediately, Chen Daoxian turned his palm, and a khaki-yellow spiritual bead appeared in his palm, which was the treasure lent to him by Wuhe Tianzuan, the earth bead. According to Wuhe Tianzan's method, Chen Daoxian gently tossed the pearl. I saw that the bead kept falling under the action of gravity. The strange thing was that as soon as the bead touched the ground, it burrowed into the soil. As the owner of the Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxian could naturally perceive that this earth bead was sinking continuously, and the speed of sinking was extremely fast. Almost in the blink of an eye, the earth beads sank into the core of the Xianhuang realm. As soon as the earth beads entered the core, they stood still. The next moment, the whole world began to tremble slightly. As the master of Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxian was the first to feel the strangeness of Xianhuang realm. The tremor range of the Xianhuang realm has also become more and more violent from the original subtle tremor. But this is not the case in Chen Daoxian's perception. He can perceive that the Xianhuang realm is expanding rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. And the speed of this expansion, compared with the previous expansion of more than 100 true monarchs using the power of creation, is simply worlds apart. Xianhuang world. North Sea. A fairy in a fluttering fairy robe is holding a jade bottle, spreading the power of creation into the sea. Immediately, the good waters of the North Sea churned violently. Yao Cai was shocked. She was afraid of what happened to Xuanhuangji. You must know that the existence of the Xianhuang realm is the guarantee for their group of captives to survive. If something goes wrong in the Xianhuang realm, Yao Cai can hardly predict how the angry Chen Daoxian will punish them. By then, they may really be in a dilemma. Just when she felt scared, she was surprised to find that the area of the North Sea was expanding wildly. No, to be precise, the boundary of the Xianhuang realm was expanding rapidly. But, how is this possible? Over the years, it has been Yao Cai and the others who have personally expanded the Xianhuang realm. As for the expansion speed of the Xianhuang realm, their group of true monarchs have long been aware of it. Even if the power of good fortune in the Xianhuang realm is sufficient, it is impossible to expand so quickly, otherwise, Chen Daoxian would not be so angry last time. Just when she was in shock, a familiar voice came from the sea of knowledge. Don't panic, it's me. Owner. Yao Cai quickly lowered her head. Not only her, but all the true monarchs in the Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxian's voice sounded in the sea of consciousness at this moment. As the casters of Chen Daoxian's soul seal, these true monarchs are already Chen Daoxian's soul slaves. After years of transformation of the soul seal, these true monarchs have long since given up on Chen Daoxian. It would not be an exaggeration to say that they were Chen Daoxian's most loyal subordinates. If not, Chen Daoxian would not feel at ease handing over the Xianhuang realm to them for expansion. The other side. As soon as Chen Daoxian finished comforting his subordinates, he exclaimed, "What a fast expansion speed! Compared with the previous use of the power of creation, using the power of this earth bead to expand the Xianhuang realm, the speed is 1,000 times faster." As if thinking of something, Chen Daoxian thought. The earth beads located at the core of the earth quickly floated up, and soon, the earth beads were taken out by Chen Daoxian from the depths of the earth's core. Chen Daoxian did this, of course he didn't use it anymore. But he remembered Wuhe Tianzhen's words, "This bead seems to be able to be used in conjunction with the power of creation, and play a more terrifying effect of expanding the world." Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian immediately took out a bottle of the power of creation and dumped it on the earth bead. Sure enough, this earth bead is like a sponge that will never get wet. Chen Daoxian poured 10 million drops of the power of creation, and then stopped the action of pouring. Weighing the earth beads that absorbed 10 million drops of the power of creation in his hands, Chen Daoxian felt that it seemed to be a little heavy. Amazing! It has absorbed so much power of creation, but the weight has hardly changed. You must know that this earth bead is not a space treasure, and it does not contain space inside. From the outside, it is just an ordinary innate spiritual bead. Chen Daoxian threw it to the ground again, and the earth beads drilled into the core again. This time, the Xianhuang realm expanded even faster. Chen Daoxian closed his eyes and silently sensed the expansion of the Xianhuang realm. After a while, he opened his eyes and said secretly, "The speed is 10 times faster than before. I just don't know how long these millions of drops of the power of creation can last." After thinking for a while, Chen Daoxian said to Yao Cai, who was in the North Sea, "Come here to see me quickly." In Yao Cai's sea of consciousness, the location of Chen Daoxian appeared. She hurriedly lowered her head and said, "Yes, master." Soon. Yao Cai drove the escaping light to Chen Daoxian's position. Looking at Chen Daoxian in a white Taoist robe, like a heavenly man, Yao Cai didn't dare to look directly, and hurriedly lowered his head and said, "Master, I don't know what you are talking about with your servants." Looking at Yao Cai's cautious appearance, it was difficult to associate her with the original palace master Yue. From now on, you and your subordinates will no longer need to expand the Xianhuang realm. Hearing this, Yao Cai's pretty face turned pale. She thought that they had done something wrong and angered the master, and immediately wanted to beg for mercy. Chen Daoxian saw her thoughts, waved his hand and said, "This matter has nothing to do with you, you just need to follow the instructions." "Yes, master." Yao Cai suppressed her thoughts and bowed her head to answer the order. "There is an orb buried here. I need you to guard it here. When the expansion rate of the Xianhuang realm drops, you will notify me in the sea of consciousness through the soul imprint, do you know?" Although there were too many doubts in his heart, Yao Cai did not dare to hesitate in the face of Chen Daoxian's order. She nodded quickly and replied, "I see, master." Seeing this, Chen Daoxian nodded with satisfaction, and then his figure disappeared in the Xianhuang realm. Watching Chen Daoxian leave, Yao Cai breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that such a big movement in Xianhuang realm was related to the orb buried in the ground. Chen Daoxian ignored what Yao Cai was thinking. The order he gave to Yao Cai was very simple, as long as she paid attention to when the expansion rate of the Xianhuang realm dropped. For Yao Cai, apart from being boring, there is almost no difficulty. As long as she always pays attention to the magnitude of the tremors of the Xianhuang realm, she can tell. In this regard, Chen Daoxian does not need to worry. Leaving the Xianhuang realm, his figure reappeared in front of the abyss of Wuhe Tianzhen's mansion. Looking at the Dao Yun escaping from the abyss in front of him, Chen Daoxian sat cross-legged and realized the law of the Dao. As he was promoted to the third floor of the world realm, his Dao law had room for improvement. It's just that because the world of the Xianhuang realm is too small and the Dao law is too powerful, it is not a good thing for the Xianhuang realm, so Chen Daoxian did not continue to improve the Dao law of the Xianhuang realm. The Dao law of the Xianhuang realm can only be said to match the Dao realm on the third floor of the world realm just now. But now, The Xianhuang realm is expanding wildly at a very high speed, and Chen Daoxian must keep up with the Tao law of the Xianhuang realm. For a world, the Tao law is bone, and the world is flesh and blood. The two complement each other. The skeleton is too large and the flesh and blood are insufficient. Then this world is a skin and bones, which is obviously not acceptable. Similarly, if the skeleton is too small and the flesh and blood are too full, there will be a danger of the world collapsing, even more so. For a world, balanced development is the most important thing. Now that the Xianhuang realm is expanding at a high speed in the world, Chen Daoxian can comprehend the Tao to the fullest. Silently estimating the expansion rate of the Xianhuang realm in his heart, Chen Daoxian adjusted the increase in his understanding while watching the Daoyun escaping from the abyss in front of him. It was not until he adjusted the increase in his comprehension to 73 times that this ensured that the speed at which the earth bead expanded the Xianhuang realm would be in line with the speed at which he comprehends the law of the great Tao. In the Xianhuang realm, as Chen Daoxian retreated and comprehended, the laws of the Tao in the world became more and more perfect. It is manifested externally, that is, the Xianhuang realm is becoming more and more vibrant. It no longer looks like a huge cave world, but a real world. Yao Cai stayed at the place where Chen Daoxian left, and his consciousness was always open. She found that there were more and more vegetation in the Xianhuang realm, and gradually, plankton began to be born in the water. Seeing this scene, Yao Cai was stunned. The emergence of planktonic life in the world is a phenomenon that is full of vitality to a certain extent. Chen Daoxian had told her that this was a sign that she was about to be promoted to the fourth floor of the world realm. The fourth floor of the world. Yao Cai murmured. It has only been a long time, and it has been fully calculated. It has only been less than 5 years for Chen Daoxian to be promoted to the third floor of the world realm. How can he be promoted to the fourth floor of the world realm? Yao Cai is very puzzled. Doesn't it mean that the further you practice, the slower the speed will be? How come to the master's place, the speed of cultivation not only did not slow down, but got faster and faster? In the blink of an eye, a year has passed. Now, Chen Daoxian, who was comprehending the avenue in front of the abyss, opened his eyes. The next moment, his figure disappeared in front of the abyss. Xianhuang world. Chen Daoxian's figure appeared instantly. Seeing Chen Daoxian, Yao Cai hurriedly bowed her head and saluted, "See master." Chen Daoxian waved his hand, indicating that there is no need to be more polite, and said, "The expansion speed has indeed slowed down." Immediately, with a thought, a khaki bead quickly flew out from the depths of the earth's core. Holding the earth bead in his hand, Chen Daoxian sighed, "This earth bead is really a treasure. In just 1 year, my Tao realm has been promoted to the fourth level of the world realm." Yao Cai on the side was silent when she heard this. In fact, she knew in her heart that the master's Tao realm was not only on the fourth floor of the world, but stepped on the threshold of the fifth floor of the world with 1 foot. For the world realm, the world scope of the world it opens up is a good way to measure the realm of the Tao. Leaving aside the special Tao Jun Chen Daoxian, when the ordinary primordial spirit cultivator was promoted to the third floor of the world realm, there was no one with a diameter of less than 10,000 miles in the world. And if you want to be promoted to the fourth floor of the world, you need to expand the world of Tao Jun to a diameter of 100,000 miles. From a diameter of 10,000 miles to a diameter of 100,000 miles, the worldwide expansion is not 10 times, but 10,000 times. Of course, the expansion of the world by 10,000 times does not mean that the strength gap is 10,000 times. But this also proves why the strength of the third-level Tao Jun of the world is far superior to that of the second-level Tao Jun of the world, because the two worlds are not at the same level at all. In fact, it is not that the third-level Tao Jun of the world realm is so much stronger than the second-layer Tao Jun of the world realm, but that the strength of the third-layer Tao Jun of the world realm is too great. A senior world realm third-layer Tao Jun may have expanded to a diameter of 100,000 miles in the world. Faced with a world realm second-layer Tao Jun with a diameter of only 10,000 miles in the world, there is no reason not to crush the opponent. On the contrary, the difference in strength between the fourth layer Dao Jun of the world realm and the third layer Dao Jun of the world realm is not as obvious as the gap between the third and second layers of the world realm. Because the world scope of the fourth level Dao Jun of the world realm is only 100,000 miles in diameter, its deeper change is that this world begins to give birth to the lowest life forms, such as fish life. At the fifth level of the world, the level of life born in the world began to gradually increase, and terrestrial life has begun to appear. As for the creation realm, spiritual life begins to be born. As for what is spiritual life, the human race is the most typical spiritual life. In order to explore this realm, the cultivators of the creation realm have already begun to try to create new life and species in their own world. At this level, for ordinary mortals, there is not much difference between monks and omnipotent gods. It took Chen Daoxian a year to expand the world from a small diameter of more than 3,000 miles to the current diameter of 130,000 miles. This kind of world expansion speed can definitely rank among the best among all Yuanshan Daijins. After all, even the Yuanshan Dao Jun of the top forces can enjoy this kind of resource at most. You must know that the one who supported Chen Daoxian was a 7 tribulations heavenly venerate in the human race, and it was the 7th tribulation heavenly venerate who was about to pass through the 8th thunder tribulation. Once Wuhe Tianzuan has passed the 8th thunder tribulation, he will become the 108th 8th tribulation Tianzuan of the human race. There are several Yuanshan Daijins who can match this kind of backing. Chapter 488. Cultivation has no years, time is like flowing water. Soon, 5 years slipped away. Xianhuang World. North Sea. Chen Daoxian, dressed in a white Taoist robe, stood on the choppy seaside. In front of him, a humanoid body was constantly condensing. Looking closely, the bones, flesh, and meridians of this body were being born little by little. But at the end of the bald head, the body collapsed directly. Boom dash, the flesh and blood were directly blown to pieces, and the beach was suddenly shredded with scarlet flesh. The flesh and blood collapsed in front of Chen Daoxian, and was automatically blocked by an invisible force, not splashing onto his white robe. Is it still not possible? Chen Daoxian sighed, without the creation realm, it is really impossible to create spiritual life. In 5 years, Chen Daoxian's Dao realm has advanced by leaps and bounds, and he is only 1 step away from the creation realm. So far, only half of the 12 years since he and Wuhe Tianzuan agreed. But it is estimated that Wuhe Tianzuan did not expect that Chen Daoxian could progress so rapidly. According to Wuhe Tianzuan's estimate, Chen Daoxian only has a certain hope of breaking through to the creation realm within 12 years. If he can successfully break through to the creation realm within 12 years, then needless to say, Chen Daoxian will get a rare chance in 1,000 years. If he can't break through to the creation realm within 12 years, even if Wuhe Tianzuan wants to help him, Chen Daoxian will not be able to seize this opportunity. After 5 years of practice in the mansion of Wuhe Tianzuan, Chen Daoxian already knew that he was just one of the many candidates for Wuhe Tianzuan. In Wuhe Tianzuan's mansion, the younger generation like him, Wuhe Tianzuan chose a lot. Of course, Chen Daoxian naturally would not resent the other party. After all, the chance to break through the tribulation transcendence period is rare, and Wuhe Tianzuan happens to have another recommended quota, and there are bound to be countless monks who are eyeing this recommended quota. Among these alternative places, the vast majority of people may not be the objects that Wuhe Tianzuan really wants to choose. Many are out of favor and helplessness to give the other party a chance to win a recommendation. And Chen Daoxian is the one who Wuhe Tianzuan really looks forward to. Otherwise, with Chen Daoxian's background strength, he would never be supported by a quasi-8 robbery heavenly venerate. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Chen Daoxian's strength is insufficient 6 years later, and he did not get the final recommendation of Wuhe Tianzuan, he himself will not lose at all. Because at this speed of cultivation, it is a sure thing for Chen Daoxian to break through to the creation realm 6 years later. Even, it is not impossible for Chen Daoxian to be promoted to the creation realm in the next second. This means that the 12 years of cultivation here at Wuhe Tianzuan saved at least hundreds or even thousands of years of hard work outside Qingdao. Otherwise, with the more than 100 nascent soul true monarchs in the Xianhuang realm, the year of the monkey horse moon can expand the Xianhuang realm to a diameter of 300,000 kilometers. Compared with the Wuhe Tianzuan mansion, Qingdaoxuan's Xianhuang realm is simply a sky and an underground, and the two cannot be compared at all. And this adventure is also the biggest opportunity Qingdao has obtained since his cultivation. In terms of helping him, to a certain extent, even the inheritance of Wan Xinghai can't compare. Although Qingdao knew that the inheritance of Wan Xinghai had a great background, the calamity of the real demon world was imminent. No matter how much the inheritance of Wan Xinghai will help him in the future, it will not be able to quickly improve his cultivation and strength now. Because Qingdao firmly believes that with the golden scriptures in his knowledge sea, even if there is no Wan Xinghai inheritance, his future achievements will not be too low. For Qingdao, the immediate problem is the most urgent. Glancing at the blood on the beach, Qingdao waved his hand, and the beach was spotless again. Nodding his head, Qingdaoxuan's figure flashed and disappeared in the Xianhuang realm. Now that he is stuck at the threshold of the creation realm, it is of little use to continue to retreat and practice asceticism. Qingdao is very thoughtful, ready to leave the Wuhe Tianzuan mansion and take a tour near Tianzuan mountain. It's just that he just walked out of the Xianhuang realm when he saw a light flying towards him. As soon as his consciousness was swept away, Qingdao saw the person coming, and stood there and waited. Fairy Lingxi. Seeing the person coming from a distance, Qingdao bowed his hands to him. The visitor is none other than Ran Lingxi, the daughter of Wuhe Tianzuan. Among the daughters of Wuhe Tianzuan, Ran Lingxi is the younger sister. Compared with her elder sister Ran Xianyuan, her younger sister Ran Lingxi is more lively. The fact that Wuhe Tianzuan has many candidates for monks was told by this Fairy Lingxi. And according to Fairy Lingxi's prediction, Qingdao is the one with the least hope of getting a place among all the candidates of Yuanshan Daojun. Because other monks have already reached the creation realm, and some have even been promoted to creation realm Daojun for many years, maybe they can break through to the tribulation transcendence stage on their own after just waiting for a chance. Compared with these cultivators, Qingdao, who is only on the 5th floor of the world realm, naturally hopes to be the most elusive one. This is also the reason why Qingdao practiced in front of this abyss for so long, and hardly saw any other candidate monks. Because the other candidate monks have long been promoted to Daojun of Creation Realm, there is no way to enter the Dao realm, so they can only wait for the opportunity, or break through the calamity period on their own. But compared to breaking through the Tribulation Transcendence stage on their own, the chance to break through to the Tribulation Transcendence cultivation base is more than 10 times greater. Of course, no one wants to miss this kind of opportunity. This Fairy Lingxi was wearing a pink pleated skirt with her small hands behind her back, and she came to Qingdao with a flash of light. She tilted her head to look at Qingdao and asked curiously, "Hey, why did you neither practice nor expand your Xianhuang realm today?" In Ran Lingxi's impression, Qingdao has been like an ascetic over the years. All day long except practice is practice. Even if she occasionally came to the abyss to comprehend the great Tao, the cultivator named Qingdao ignored her, as if the other party didn't care about her identity at all. This made Fairy Ran Lingxi, who had been held in the palm of her hand since she was a child, aroused a grand curiosity. After that, she used the information on the recommended quota to be revealed to Qingdao as a condition, and the two gradually became familiar with each other. Of course, this is just what she thinks she is familiar with. Although Fairy Lingxi's cultivation has reached the level of a true monarch in the world, in Qingdaoxuan's eyes, Fairy Lingxi is just a child. In terms of Xinqing, it is no different from the children he studied in the Qin family study. Under the protection of Wuhe Tianzuan, this Fairy Lingxi was so well protected that she didn't even know that there were still sufferings and struggles in this world, and she didn't even know that the human race was facing the huge threat of the world demon. In her world, the life in Tianzuan Mountain and Wuhe Tianzan's mansion is all she has. Qingdao looked at Ran Lingxi with a puzzled face, smiled and said, "My Dao realm has been promoted to the 5th floor of the world realm. I have encountered a checkpoint temporarily and want to go out to the Tianzuan mansion to relax. Ah! Have you been promoted to the 5th floor of the world realm? Ran Lingxi was taken aback. Her cultivation is much lower than that of Chen Daoxian, and she can't see the depth of Chen Daoxian at all. But she heard her mother say that before Chen Daoxian came to Tianzuan mansion, he only had the cultivation of Dao Jun on the 3rd floor of the world. In just 6 short years, the other party actually broke through to the 5th floor of the world realm. This speed! Thinking that since she was born, she has been cultivating Dao Yun in the real demon world to devour the Phoenix world, but so far has not been able to break through to the primordial Dao Jun, can't help but feel discouraged. It's not that the father is talented, and the children born are naturally talented. As the daughter of Wuhe Tianzuan, although her spiritual root is the upper spiritual root, which is quite good compared to ordinary monks, compared with the real genius, the upper spiritual root is not considered to be outstanding at all. Of course, compared to spiritual roots, what high-level monks value more often is comprehension and xinqing. And these, Ran Lingxi's performance is even worse. This is also the reason why Wuhe Tianzuan obviously has a pair of daughters, but chooses to train other juniors. It really is that he doesn't have the opportunity to support him. Even if he wants to support him, his qualifications are too poor. She secretly marveled at the speed of Chen Daoxuan's cultivation, and Ran Lingxi put it behind her. She rolled her eyes and immediately remembered something. Thief said, "So you want to move the Xianhuang realm to the inner realm world? Come." When Chen Daoxian heard this, he suddenly woke up. Yes, he forgot about it. With his promotion to the 5th floor of the world realm, he already has the ability to move the Xianhuang realm. Since the beginning of its birth, the Xianhuang realm has been floating in the endless void near the Phoenix meteor realm, but as the war between the world demon and the human race is getting closer, the risk of the Xianhuang realm being exposed is also increasing. The high-level monks of the human race all choose to transfer the world they created to the inner world, which naturally has its reasons. After pondering for a moment, Chen Daoxian raised his head and said, "Thank you Fairy Lingxi for reminding me that I went out this time to solve this matter." Hearing this Fairy Lingxi suddenly became excited. Hey, take me with you. I've grown so big, and I've never been out of the Tianzuan mountain for thousands of miles. Saying that, he stared at Chen Daoxian with innocent big eyes. But Chen Daoxian didn't buy her attitude at all. He shook his head and said, "Fairy, forgive me, I wouldn't dare to take you out without the permission of Heavenly Venerate." Humph! You wait. After that, Ran Lingxi raised her head and shouted at the sky, "Father, I want to go out with Chen Daoxian to watch him move the Xianhuang realm, which will also help my daughter's future practice. Father, please agree to my request, okay?" Saying that, Ran Lingxi put her hands together and kept praying. At this time, a sigh came from the horizon. Go, this old man can't heal even a wound." What? After receiving Wuhe Tianzhen's response, Ran Lingxi was so happy that she jumped up and said excitedly, "Thank you, Dad. Dad is the best." This time, no sound came again. However, Chen Daoxian could think that Wuhe Tianzuan must be smiling very happily at this moment. But Chen Daoxian was not happy. He just wanted to go out and relax when he encountered obstacles in his practice, but he did not intend to be a nanny. It's just that Wuhe Tianzuan has spoken, what can he say? Although he has just come to Guangyuan realm now, people in the know must have marked him with the mark of Wuhe Tianzuan. In this regard, Chen Daoxian did not have much disgust. Wuhe Tianzuan was so supportive to him, coupled with his cultivation base that was almost at the top of the human race cultivator, and with him as his backer, Chen Daoxian didn't think there was anything wrong with him. Many people want such a backer and can't find it. Chen Daoxian was able to find such a backer, and it was indeed the Battle of Yaoguang City, and his performance convinced Wuhe Tianzuan. Otherwise, with Wuhe Tianzhen's cultivation base and strength, he would definitely not be so favored by him, a third-level Taoist in the world. As for Wuhe Tianzhen's agreement with his daughter Ran Lingxi to go out with Chen Daoxian, he also knew Chen Daoxuan's strength. On the surface, although Chen Daoxuan's strength is only at the 5th level of the world realm, in fact, he has more than 2,000 5-star Taoist soldiers. With such a terrifying power shelter, in this inner world, Wuhe Tianzuan really doesn't worry about what will happen. Because the monks who can make Chen Daoxian and Ran Lingxi in danger must be those high-level heavenly venerates. And those heavenly venerate, even in his face, will not embarrass the two juniors. Since it is 100% safe, there is no reason for Wuhe Tianzuan not to let his daughter go out for a stroll. Wuhe Tianzuan knows that he guards Yaoguang City all the year round, and he doesn't care enough about his daughter's growth. Being able to make her happy is one of the few things that his incompetent father can do for her. The top of Tianzuan Mountain. 2 escaping lights flew out from a mansion on the top of the mountain. It was Chen Daoxian and Ran Lingxi. Ah, I can finally come out again. Ha, Chen Daoxian, look at that cloud, does it look like a tiger, and that, hey, don't go, wait for me. Along the way, Ran Lingxi chatted endlessly, and Chen Daoxian only felt that he was not walking with a true monarch Yuaning, but was leading a 4- or 5-year-old child. Ran Lingxi vented her madness for a while, and finally calmed down a little. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. But the next moment, Ran Lingxi turned to look at him and said, "Where do we go after we go down the mountain? Have you made up your mind?" I know there's a place, it's very fun, can I take you there?" After that, he stared at Chen Daoxian with innocent big eyes. Chen Daoxian opened his mouth, and after a while, nodded, "Listen to Fairy Lingxi." "Oh, don't call me Fairy Lingxi, just call me Ran Lingxi." Ran Lingxi waved her small hand, and said with arrogance, "It is good." In this way, Ran Lingxi chatted for 10 sentences, Chen Daoxian replied, and the two quickly descended Tianzuan Mountain. This is the first time Chen Daoxian has come into contact with this world since he came to Guangyuan realm. The last time he came here, he was directly taken by Wuhe Tianzuan and flew to Tianzuan Mountain. At the speed of Wuhe Tianzun's escaping light, if he didn't expand his consciousness, let alone the scenery along the way, Chen Daoxian couldn't even react. This time, he took Ran Lingxi with him, and the speed of escaping light could be described as slow in his eyes. Chen Daoxian was already a cultivator. He was a little tired and wanted to come out and relax. Besides, he also wanted to inquire about something. But Ran Lingxi didn't think so, and walked down Tianzuan Mountain. Without saying a word, Ran Lingxi took Chen Daoxian and flew towards the place she expected. Chen Daoxian followed her slowly, quietly thinking about the next cultivation arrangement. It wasn't until Ran Lingxi's surprised voice came into his ears that Chen Daoxian came back to his senses. "It's here, it's here." Chapter 489. Looking up, a huge immortal city appeared in Chen Daoxuan's field of vision. Chen Daoxian, the giant immortal city, has seen a lot, but it is not surprising. But in the immortal city in front of him, Chen Daoxian felt a strong spirit of the world demon. You must know that this is the Guangyuan realm. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is the most core hinterland of the human race. How can there be real-world monsters here? Just when Chen Daoxian was puzzled, Ran Lingxi on the side explained in time, "This is the immortal city of Buddha, and it is the largest immortal city of fighting demons within 10,000 miles of Tianzuan Mountain." "Douyao." Chen Daoxian was slightly stunned. Literally, he vaguely guessed the meaning of Douyao Xiancheng, but he was not sure. But as he entered this fairy city, his guess was gradually confirmed. This is an immortal city where world monsters gamble and fight for fun. In the Buddha city, there are several large monster fighting fields. The second and third generations of disciples from all over the world, especially Tianzuan Mountain, all have fun here. As the descendants of the human race, they were born with a lot of privileges. But it is not that the ancestors are Tianzuan, and the descendants must be amazingly talented. Among the many descendants of Tianzuan, it is not bad to be able to produce 1 or 2 talented monks. Just like the Chen family, after so many generations, there is only one Taoist monk named Chen Daoxian. Although the resources of Tianzuan are much stronger than that of the Qin family, as the pillar of the human race, almost every Tianzuan shoulders the heavy responsibility of guarding the frontier of the human race. Therefore, most of the descendants of Tianzuan who live in Tianzuan Mountain have not received much good education from Tianzuan. In other words, the truly outstanding descendants of Tianzuan have already moved out of Tianzuan Mountain. Only those playboys who are not talented and have amazing backgrounds will gather in Tianzuan Mountain, the safest place for the human race to eat, drink and have fun. Knowing that this immortal city of Buddha is an entertainment immortal city where the children of gather, Chen Daoxian is even less interested in it. Chen Daoxian has been cultivating so far, and he has walked all the way from Weimo, and he really hasn't dealt with the playboys very much. Maybe the forces he contacts are not as good as the heavenly venerate level forces, but the people he contacts are all the core elites of various forces. Let him deal with a group of playboys. Chen Daoxian really didn't have much interest. Hey, why do you keep a sullen face all the way? Don't you just want to have fun when you come out to play? On the lively street, Ran Lingxi couldn't help but feel dissatisfied when she saw Chen Daoxian's tense expression. As she said that, she seemed to remember something, and said mysteriously, "Come to the immortal city of the Buddha, don't go to the demon fighting field to gamble, it will be in vain. I heard that there will be a duel between Daojuan level world demons tonight, we have to don't go and see, heard." Chen Daoxian shook his head and said, "Forget it, I'm always happy, so I won't join in the fun." He paused. "Fairy Lingxi, do you know that there is a Chuanbao pavilion in this Buddha city? Are you going to Chuanbao pavilion to buy something?" Ran Lingxi asked a question, and before Chen Daoxian could answer, she said, "Of course there is a Chuanbao pavilion in the immortal city of the Buddha. This is the largest immortal city near Tianzuan Mountain." "Thank you." Chen Daoxian nodded. "Also, as I said, don't always call me from Fairy Lingxi or Fairy Lingxi, just call me by my name." Saying that, Ran Lingxi put on a pitiful look again. "Are you really not going to the demon fighting field with me?" Chen Daoxian shook his head firmly. "All right." Ran Lingxi flattened her mouth. "Aren't you afraid that I might run into danger if I go alone? Won't you explain to my father then?" Hearing this, Chen Daoxian glanced at her speechlessly, and directly refused to answer. Here is less than 10,000 miles at the foot of Tianzuan Mountain. With the strength of Wuhe Tianzuan, it is no different from being under his nose. What does it have to do with Chen Daoxian when his daughter is in danger under his nose? Seeing that Chen Daoxian was ignoring her, Ran Lingxi snorted and drove away. Watching Ran Lingxi leave, Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that he is really not suitable for taking children, especially such a child with a deep background and a quirky temperament. After parting ways with Ran Lingxi, Chen Daoxian directly found someone to inquire about the location of the Chuanbao Pavilion, and then flew over with an escape light. The Chuanbao Pavilion here is the same as the Chuanbao Pavilion in the Fengyun realm. As soon as Chen Daoxian stepped into the Chuanbao Pavilion, he welcomed a 5-star Taoist soldier to receive him. This 5-star Taoist soldier looks like a scholar, with a white face and no beard, and he looks quite kind. Chuanbao Pavilion is good at receiving guests with Taoist soldiers, which is also a major feature of it. Other similar stores want to do this, but they can't imitate it. You must know that although the humanoid soldiers have extremely high intelligence, it is not an easy thing to ask them to do business well. Human race cultivators still suffer losses when doing business, not to mention Dao soldiers. Friend Daoist is polite, "I don't know if you are buying treasures, or..." The scholar Dao Bing glanced at Chen Daoxian, smiled and bowed his hands to him. "Buy treasures." Hearing this, the smile on the scholar's face became even bigger. "I don't know what treasures you want to buy. I want to buy spirituality. It is good." The scholar Dao Bing knew that the 5th layer Dao Jun of the world realm in front of him must have reached the level of the creation realm and wanted to analyze his spirituality in order to create a new spiritual life. After thinking about it, the scholar Tao Bing continued to sell. "We Chuanbao Pavilion still have a lot of experience in breaking through the 5th layer of the world realm to the creation realm. I wonder if you need it." "Oh?" Hearing this, Chen Daoxian's eyes suddenly lit up. He is currently stuck at the level of the creation realm and cannot make any progress. Hearing this good news suddenly, there is no reason not to be excited. It's not that he forgot about this, but in his inherent thinking, the experience of breaking through to the creation realm is extremely precious, and I am afraid that no force is willing to sell it easily. But he forgot that this is the inner territory of the two realms abyss, and it is at the foot of the Tianzuan mountain, the core of the inner territory world, not the Phoenix meteor realm. The things that are extremely precious to the major forces in the Phoenix meteor world are nothing near Tianzuan mountain. Can't you see that there is a group of human gods living on Tianzuan mountain, which is less than 10,000 miles away? The experience of the mere creation realm is nothing to the Tianzuan on Tianzuan mountain. Besides, those who can come here are all people who have a great relationship with Tianzuan. The Chuanbao Pavilion is here to sell the experience of breaking through to the creation state, which is a normal thing. Wanting to understand this level, Chen Daoxian couldn't wait to ask, do you still have the experience of breaking through the various levels of the world? I want all of them. Good. The scholar Dao Bing was stunned for a moment, then replied with a smile. After purchasing what he wanted, Chen Daoxian left Chuanbao Pavilion happily. Leaving the Chuanbao Pavilion, Chen Daoxian went straight back to the inn where he stayed. As soon as he stepped into the inn, Chen Daoxian plunged into the secret room and retreated again. If Ran Lingxi saw this scene, she would probably be speechless. Chen Daoxian agreed that Jing Ji CMO and went out to relax, but he ended up retreating and practicing on the way. Of course, Chen Daoxian couldn't care about other people's thoughts. Since he knew that Wuhe Tianzuan had selected a large number of recommended monks in the creation realm, Chen Daoxian felt great pressure. Compared with those monks who have reached the creation realm, Chen Daoxian's cultivation base is the lowest, only at the 5th level of the world realm. It is said that his strength is not weak, but this is an opportunity to break through the tribulation period, and reaching the realm of creation is the most basic requirement. Even if Wuhe Tianzuan values him again, it is impossible to give the opportunity to break through the tribulation period to a monk on the 5th floor of the world. This is no longer valued, but disregarding the rules. Chen Daoxian is not important enough to make Wuhe Tianzuan ignore the rules, and besides, other Tianzuan will not agree with Wuhe Tianzan's behavior. In the secret room, Chen Daoxian quickly took out the experience of creation that he bought from Chuanbao Pavilion. Compared with the world realm, the biggest difference between the creation realm and the world realm lies in the creation of spiritual life. When the monk's world has been promoted to a certain level, it has been able to accommodate spiritual life. At this time, the creation of spiritual life in the world it has opened up means that the world level has been completely sublimated. Therefore, when you reach this realm, it is somewhat inappropriate to call it the world realm. So the monks called it the creation realm. Creation of creation refers to the creation of all things. Of course, creating all things is too exaggerated, and the monks who have just entered the realm of creation simply cannot achieve it. For monks who want to cross the threshold of creation, the creation of spiritual life is the key to the upgrading of the world. To create spiritual life, you must first create spirituality. For more than a year, Chen Daoxian has tried countless times to create spiritual life without using spirituality, trying to take shortcuts, but all failed. It was only then that he realized that the path of cultivation had been trampled on by countless predecessors, and how could he, a latecomer, be able to walk if he wanted to take shortcuts? In desperation, Chen Daoxian could only honestly start by analyzing the spirituality created by other cultivators in the creation realm, and try to break through to the creation realm little by little. Now that I think about it, the 12-year contract between Wuhe Tianzuan and him is more to inspire him. It is estimated that even Wuhe Tianzuan did not expect Chen Daoxian to break through to the creation realm within 12 years. And the opportunity to break through to the calamity period can only happen once in 1,000 years in the Guanyuan world. Chen Daoxian realized later that Wuhe Tianzuan was asking him to wait for the next opportunity. 1,000 years. Chen Daoxian couldn't wait. Besides, if it is 1,000 years, he himself has absolute certainty to break through to the transcending tribulation period, so he does not need this chance. Now for Chen Daoxian, if he breaks through to the creation realm within 12 years, he will be able to take advantage of this shareholder win to soar and quickly advance to the transcending tribulation period. Otherwise, relying on himself, it may take more than 100 years or even hundreds of years to be promoted to the transcendence period. Now that the calamity of the demons is getting worse and worse, Chen Daoxian certainly doesn't want to wait any longer. For him, the stronger the strength, the more he can protect the people he wants to protect. In the secret room, Chen Daoxian sat cross-legged, and each jade slip was quickly browsed by him. With the blessing of 100 times more understanding, these complicated experiences flowed in his heart like a trickle, nourishing his barren heart. I do not know how long it has been. Chen Daoxian raised his head. So spirituality is like this. According to the experience of the cultivators in the creation realm, not only is each spiritual life unique, but the spirituality created by each creation realm cultivator is also different. It's like the 1,000 points of spirituality he bought from the Chuanbao Pavilion came from 3 cultivators in the creation realm. Because judging from the breath and verve emanating from these spiritualities, it is obvious that there are 3 different spiritualities. Chen Daoxian carefully controlled a little spirituality to float in front of him. He concentrated his consciousness to the maximum extent and observed the difference in spirituality little by little. From the outside, spirituality is completely different from the power of creation. The appearance of the power of creation is like a drop of water, while the spirituality is a light spot. It is invisible and intangible, and it seems that it does not exist in the dimension in front of you, but a creation of a higher dimension. But as Chen Daoxian's consciousness was highly concentrated, the spirituality in front of him was magnified by him a little bit. 100 times, 10,000 times, 1,000,000 times. In Chen Daoxian's consciousness, this light spot was the size of a grain of rice at first, and then it became like a lantern. In the end, it was like a star. And Chen Daoxian stood quietly in front of the star, and he finally discovered the countless lines on the star. Just looking at it, Chen Daoxian felt dizzy for a while. This is the spiritual origin that the cultivator of the creation realm said. When he wanted to see more, his consciousness felt tired for a while, and in desperation, Chen Daoxian chose to withdraw from this state. Although the divine consciousness had withdrawn from that wonderful state, the excitement on Chen Daoxian's face remained undiminished. Because he finally tore a crack in front of the level of creation realm and saw the dawn of breakthrough, which is the most rare thing. Of course, this is also related to the continuous improvement of his cultivation base and the continuous enhancement of his consciousness. Speaking of which, Chen Daoxian hadn't focused much on cultivating the Shanhai chapter since he practiced for a while 6 years ago. But this time he finally realized that if he wanted to make a breakthrough in spirituality, he had to rely on a strong sense of consciousness. Although his divine sense is quite strong, when looking at the 5th layer Dao Jun of the world, it can only be said to be of average level. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian had another clear goal in his heart, cultivating the divine sea chapter. But before that, Chen Daoxian intends to continue to practice dividing the sea. In fact, the chapter on dividing the sea is not only the basis of astral technique, but also helps him to judge how strong his spiritual consciousness is. There are different ways for monks to judge the strength of their own consciousness. When the cultivation base is low, the judgment method is relatively simple and crude, that is, try to extend the coverage of the consciousness, and see how wide the coverage of the consciousness is, and then the strength of the consciousness can be judged. But in the Yuanshan stage, very few monks took this approach. Because primordial spirit cultivators' consciousness can cover thousands of miles at every turn, such a powerful spiritual consciousness is completely covered, which is simply a disaster for low-level cultivators. Although divine consciousness coverage generally does not affect low-level cultivators, that is when the gap between the two sides is not large. If the gap between the two sides is too large, such as the actions of Yuanshan Dao Jun, it will have a huge impact on qi refining and foundation building cultivators, not to mention the full extension of divine consciousness. Therefore, Chen Daoxian doesn't know how strong his divine sense is now. He only knows that his divine sense is a lot stronger than when he was in Yaoguang City. As for judging from the scope of the Sea of Consciousness, now Chen Daoxian is a little confused about how wide his Sea of Consciousness is. Anyway, looking around, it is boundless. In the past, when the range of the Sea of Consciousness was small, he could still use the shrouded range of the consciousness to judge, but the scope of the current shroud of the consciousness is too broad, and it is difficult for him to determine the scope of the Sea of Consciousness. At least in the Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxuan's consciousness can easily cover it, which also means that the coverage of Chen Daoxuan's consciousness has exceeded 300,000 miles. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian didn't hesitate. He practiced the dividing the sea again. The last time he was in Yaoguang City, he cultivated the dividing the sea to 1,320 thoughts. At this moment, his thoughts are like diamond stars, one by one dotted in the sky above the Sea of Consciousness, emitting bright rays of light. Now, his divine sense is stronger, and the scope of the divine sea has risen and become wider. Therefore, he intends to attack 1,800 thoughts again. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 490. Looking at the vast sea of divine, Chen Daoxian once again performed the method in dividing the sea, continued to cut the sea of divine, and united his thoughts. As time passed by little, one after another, the bright and diamond-like thoughts were successfully condensed by him. Knowing the sea and the sky, the number of thoughts keeps increasing. 1,400, 1,500, 1,600. The further back, the smaller the remaining area of Shanghai, Chen Daoxian once again felt the huge pressure. He was afraid that this time, like the last time, the success would fail. But after thinking about it, even if it fails this time, it will only expand the divine sea again, and the thoughts that have been condensed will not disappear. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxuan's nervous mood gradually subsided. 1,650, 1,700, 1,710. The further back you go, the slower and slower the speed of gathering your thoughts, and the more pressure you have. Looking at the few remaining divine seas, Chen Daoxian felt that it was not impossible for him to succeed. Simply, he endured the tear-like pain in the sea of knowledge and continued to gather his thoughts. As for the injury of the Sea of Consciousness, Chen Daoxian didn't take it to heart at all. Anyway, he had the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic to recover the injury of the Sea of Consciousness. The Sea of Consciousness trauma, which is extremely troublesome to others, is nothing to Chen Daoxian. 1,790, 1,791, 1,792. Chen Daoxuan's consciousness at this moment has gradually blurred, but his will is like a sharp sword, constantly severing the pain and weakness from the Sea of Consciousness. In the Sea of Knowledge, the Golden Scriptures are also helping him suppress the Sea of Knowledge that will collapse at any time. However, Chen Daoxian couldn't see all of this. He only had one belief now, that is, to condense his thoughts into 1,800 pieces, to achieve the foundation of cultivating that astral technique. 1,700 is 8, 1,799. At the last moment, Chen Daoxuan's consciousness was blurred for a while, and then he was unconscious. I do not know how long it has been. Chen Daoxian woke up faintly. In the storage ring, the messenger is flashing frantically. Chen Daoxian didn't bother to check, he immediately sat cross-legged and silently recited the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic. As the Hongmeng Enlightenment Sutra was recited, the pain in the Sea of Consciousness slowly dissipated. Once, twice, 3 times. Chen Daoxian has been reciting the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic 10 times, and this finally calmed down the injury in the Sea of Knowledge. As soon as the Sea of Consciousness recovered, he couldn't wait to look at the bright starry sky above the Sea of Consciousness. 1, 2. 1,799, 1,800. A look of excitement suddenly appeared on Chen Daoxuan's face. He waved his fist fiercely, and roared, "Success!" No wonder he was excited, it was really not easy to practice that dividing the sea. 1,800 thoughts is a huge hurdle. If you want to break through this level, the vastness of the sea of divine is just the foundation, and the cultivator must have strong tenacity and be able to endure the pain of 1,800 thoughts. Fortunately, Chen Daoxian succeeded. Cultivating, dividing the sea, to this level also means that Chen Daoxian can officially start practicing astral art. Astral art is praised by the white-robed Taoist as a method that directly points to the avenue. Although Chen Daoxian accepted an inheritance, he only had a general understanding of the situation after the entry of astral technique. There is a summary in the general outline of Listening the Stars, which is, the stars in the sky are listed in the Zhou-Tian, the stars in the Zhou-Tian are listed in the self. This canopy does not refer to other things, but to the kendo map of stars and stars that Chen Daoxian has long owned. The complete meaning is that Chen Daoxian needs to integrate these 1,800 thoughts into 1,800 immortal swords, and then let these 1,800 pure yang immortal swords list the stars in the star formation in the star kendo diagram. Then, borrowing the Zhou-Tian Xingqian Great Array, he concentrated the power of the Xingqian Kendo map and 1,800 immortal swords on him alone. This method is rumored to be created by a top-notch powerful cultivator in the prehistoric world after watching the first great formation in ancient times, Zhou Tianxingde, but he replaced Zhou Tianxingqian with the pure yang immortal sword. Theoretically speaking, the power of a low-grade fairy sword is of course inferior to that of Zhou Tianxingqian. But the power of the immortal sword is constantly improving with the improvement of the grade. What about the best fairy sword? If not, what about Lingbao? Therefore, in theory, with the Divine Sea Chapter and Divine Sea Chapter, the power of this astral technique is almost endless. It is no exaggeration to be called by the white-robed Taoist as the way to point directly to the avenue. But Chen Daoxian was in trouble. He needed 1,800 pure yang fairy swords to practice this astral art. How could he get so many pure yang fairy weapons? Isn't this bullshit? Although Chuanbao Pavilion has always claimed that they have pure yang fairy artifacts to sell, even Chuanbao Pavilion cannot come up with 1,800 pure yang immortal artifacts. After all, things like immortal artifacts are all left by the ancient real immortals. It can be said that one less is used. Now the human race has almost no ability to refine immortal artifacts. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian could only temporarily extinguish his thoughts of cultivating the astral technique. However, his gains this time have been large enough. One is seeing the source of spirituality and figuring out how to break through the realm of creation. The second is naturally to cultivate the dividing the sea chapter to the level of 1,800 thoughts, reaching the minimum standard for practicing astrology. With these two harvests, Chen Daoxian only needs to move the Xianhuang realm to the inner world, and this trip is considered a complete success. After thinking about it, Chen Daoxian took out the communication talisman from the storage ring. The divine sense penetrated into the communication talisman, and for a moment, Chen Daoxian withdrew the divine sense with a somewhat embarrassed expression. Boom dash, with the opening of the cave, Chen Daoxian saw Ran Lingxi outside the mansion. At this moment, Ran Lingxi's face was full of anger. Sorry, I got something occasionally, and it took a little longer to cultivate. Chen Daoxian just pinched his fingers and calculated that he had been in retreat for more than half a year. One can imagine how long Ran Lingxi outside the cave had waited for him. Ran Lingxi wanted to get angry, but seeing that Chen Daoxian was so focused on cultivation, thinking that every time he practiced, he was fishing in troubled waters, and he couldn't help but lose his temper. She said feebly, "Didn't you promise my father to take me to watch the moving of the Xianhuang realm? You can't talk without counting." Chen Daoxian nodded. What Chen said will naturally count. After leaving the immortal city of the Buddha, the two of them did not swim in the mountains and waters, but flew straight to the outside of the Guanyuan realm. Opening the void passage, Chen Daoxian stepped out towards the dark void passage. Behind her, Ran Lingxi was a little nervous, but as soon as she gritted her teeth, she followed behind Chen Daoxian and stepped into the void passage. Passing through the void passage, and when Ran Lingxi's sight recovered, the two had come outside the Guanyuan realm. Standing outside the Guanyuan realm. For the first time, Ran Lingxi stood from an external perspective and looked at the world she had lived in for hundreds of years. It's so big and so bright. Ran Lingxi murmured. Immediately, she pointed to the countless light spots in the inner world and said, "Are those worlds created by monks in the world?" Chen Daoxian nodded. "I didn't expect our inner world to be so colorful, it's the first time I've seen it." As if thinking of something, Ran Lingxi turned her head. "By the way, I heard that you came from Fengyun realm. How is that world? Is it more exciting than Guanyuan realm?" Chen Daoxian thought of the endless wars between the various forces in the Fengyun realm, and shook his head. The Fengyun realm is much more chaotic than the Guanyuan realm. That's it. Ran Lingxi lowered her head, then raised her head again. "But I still want to go and see. I heard from my father that he also came from Fengyun realm, and the monks in our inner world are also from Fengyun realm. Meteor world, there is the root of our human race." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was silent. After a long time, he replied, "Do you know what the root of the human race is? Isn't the place where our human race originated from our roots?" Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was disappointed for a while, and said, "You are right, but unfortunately, we can't keep the roots of this human race." "Is it because of the world demon?" Ran Lingxi said with a gloomy expression, "Unfortunately, my aptitude is dull, although my father gave me an excellent cultivation environment, but I just can't compare to those talented monks. Do you know how much I envy you when I saw that you were chosen by my dad as a candidate recommendation?" Ran Lingxi paused. "Others say that I have a good father, and I don't have to fight the battlefield outside the territory, but I would rather not be the daughter of Tianzuan, and I don't want to stay in the cage of Tianzuan Mountain and wait to die." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian gradually felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't speak. Everyone has their own way of living. Compared with the countless scattered cultivators in the Fengyun world, Ran Lingxi was born in the sky. She wants to be free, but she doesn't know that there are countless bottom-level loose cultivators who are willing to use everything she has to exchange with Ran Lingxi. Ran Lingxi's sigh, in Chen Daoxian's eyes, is more like moaning. She was born in a honey pot, and she still wants to go to the cruel environment outside to see it. Maybe only when she really sees the cruel environment outside, will she feel how happy her life is at the moment. Ignoring Ran Lingxi, Chen Daoxian took out a map of the inner domain from the storage ring. This picture was purchased from Chuanbao Pavilion before he left. You must know that although the inner world is extremely vast, the world in this realm is also extremely exaggerated. This can be seen from the star-like light spots in the inner domain. Each of these light spots represents a world. With so many light spots, one can imagine how many worlds there are in the inner domain. Therefore, Chen Daoxian of course had to figure out which area was suitable for him to place the Xianhuang realm. Because after he placed the Xianhuang realm, it is not the end. The Xianhuang realm will continue to expand in the future. If there are many worlds in the area he chooses, he will have to move at that time. In view of this, Chen Daoxian directly went to Chuanbao Pavilion to buy a map of the world of the inner domain, so that he could choose a suitable boundary. Seeing Chen Daoxian ignoring her, Ran Lingxi was looking at the boundary map, and her face suddenly became puffed up. Half an hour. Seeing that Chen Daoxian was still looking at the picture carefully, Ran Lingxi couldn't help but said, "Don't stare at the realm near the Guanyuan realm. The area closer to the Guanyuan realm has long been divided up by the major top forces. You should go to the periphery, have a look." "Is that so?" Chen Daoxian suddenly realized, "Thank you Fairy Lingxi for reminding me." Ran Lingxi suddenly felt very tired, and waved her hand to indicate that she did not want to talk to Chen Daoxian. According to Ran Lingxi's ideas, Chen Daoxian searched for the outer area centered on Guanyuan realm, and finally found a suitable location. "Hey, this position you chose. What's wrong?" Chen Daoxian said in surprise. "The location you chose is very close to Tianzuan City." "Tianzuan City?" "Yes, Tianzuan City." Ran Lingxi said, "Tianzuan City is the largest of the 81 main cities of our human race, and it is also the closest main city to the inner world. We all call it the last line of defense of the human race." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian had a new understanding of Tianzuan City. Unexpectedly, Tianzuan City is not only the largest main city of the human race, but also the closest main city to Guangyuan realm. Chen Daoxian has long known that the so-called main city and acropolis built in the ancient years are actually pure Yang fairy artifacts refined by the ancient real immortals. These pure Yang immortal artifacts are combined together to build an extremely huge formation. The human race cultivator relied on this supergiant formation to resist the invasion of the world monster and defend the human race. The ancient real immortals have exhausted their minds for the sake of the human race. Seeing that Ran Lingxi knew so many fortunate secrets, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but inquire about the news and asked, "There are 81 main cities in the human race, and each main city is guarded by the 8 tribulations heavenly venerate?" "Who knows?" Ran Lingxi's stinky fart, "you ask me. I won't tell you." He he. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian was powerless to complain. Seeing that Chen Daoxian stopped talking, Ran Lingxi said again, "What's wrong? Are you angry?" "Fairy Lingxi, let's get to this area as soon as possible. After finishing this matter, I have to go back to retreat and the time is short." After speaking, he took Ran Lingxi to the light boat without any explanation. In front of Chen Daoxian, Ran Lingxi naturally had no power to resist. She couldn't help but angrily said, "Why are you like this, and also, don't you really think that you can compete for the chance to advance to the tribulation transcendence stage this time? My father brought you here because he wanted to train you, but you are more likely to wait for the next batch of promotions, and the next batch will have to wait for 1,000 years. What are you anxious about?" Hearing this, Chen Daoxian nodded, "I know. You know you're in such a hurry." Ran Lingxi rolled her eyes, "It's fine if you don't accompany me to the demon fighting arena, and let me wait for you outside for several months. It's just 1,000 years too long, I can't wait." "Why can't you wait?" Ran Lingxi's eyes widened. "You are the 5th level Taoist of the world realm, with 10,000 years of life. What does 1,000 years mean to you?" Chen Daoxian shook his head. "The world demon will not give me another 1,000 years. The world monster." Ran Lingxi was silent. To her, world demon was a familiar and unfamiliar word. Said to be familiar, she has seen countless world demons in the demon fighting arena. But speaking of unfamiliarity, she has never really seen a world demon on an extraterritorial battlefield. She couldn't imagine that the world demon could force her father, who she thought was omnipotent, to die. Seeing that Ran Lingxi finally quieted down, Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. This time back, even if Wuhe Tianzuan personally came forward, he would not bring this living ancestor out again. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 491. The light boat carried the two of them and flew in the inner world for several days. The two talents reached the position on the inner world map. "Arrive!" Ran Lingxi said excitedly, "Look, there is Tianzuan City." Looking in the direction of Ran Lingxi's finger, Chen Daoxian seemed to see an ancient fairy city standing in the void. Although in his eyes, this immortal city is only a very small point, but Chen Daoxian knows that it is because Tianzuan City is still too far away from the two of them. In fact, Tianzuan City, as the largest main city of the human race, is hundreds of times the size of a heavy acropolis like Yaoguang City. If Chen Daoxian watched it up close, he would definitely be shocked by the majesty of Tianzuan City. Any monk who has seen Tianzuan City has admitted that this is the most majestic fairy city they have ever seen. Chen Daoxian glanced at it, then immediately retracted his gaze and said, "Tianzunqing will visit in the future, let's finish the business first." Yes, first move the Xianhuang realm. Speaking of which, I have never seen what the Xianhuang realm looks like. Chen Daoxian, don't you suggest me to visit the Xianhuang realm soon? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian nodded. "Fairy Lingxi is free. Okay, let's make a deal." After that, Ran Lingxi stood quietly and stopped disturbing Chen Daoxian Shui. Moving the world is a big deal for the 5th layer Daojun of the world realm. Although the 5th layer Daojun of the world realm already has the ability to move the world he has opened up, compared to the creation realm Daojun and the tribulation monk, this ability must be far from it. Not to mention the Daojun of creation realm, the cultivator of tribulation transcendence can even close the heavenly venerate realm he opened up in the palm of his hand, or even in his body, truly achieving the level of the world in the palm of his hand. This kind of ability, Chen Daoxian at this time can never match. At first glance, this ability seems to be somewhat similar to the origin of the world demon, but in fact, the two are not at all confused. The world demon's control over the world within the body is far less flexible than the cultivator's control over the world he opens up. Since the world realm cultivator opened up the world for the first time, his follow-up practice is aimed at expanding and controlling the world he has opened up at a deeper level. Therefore, when it comes to controlling the world demon is relatively more superficial. This is also the reason why the 8 tribulations heavenly venerate appears in the human race to be comparable to the true immortal level world demon in combat power. Since the human race could not break through to the Mahayana true immortal, their exploration of the battle strength during the tribulation period for hundreds of thousands of years has almost reached the pinnacle. All the means that can enhance the combat power of the monks during the tribulation period, the Terran heavenly venerate has tried. Among these means, controlling the heavenly venerate realm in a more subtle way is one of the most important means. Inner void. Chen Daoxian closed his eyes, he was carefully sensing Xuan Huangji. As the world he opened up, Xuan Huangji has a very close connection with Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian just tried to contact him a little, and he instantly sensed its existence. But this is only the first step, what he has to do next is the most important. Because next, Chen Daoxian will send the entire Xianhuang realm in the endless void of the location. Chen Daoxian tried to teleport objects and monks, but it was the first time for him to teleport an entire world. Of course, to transmit such a huge world, Chen Daoxian certainly couldn't completely rely on the mana in his Dantian Qi Si, he must rely on the power of Xianhuang realm. As Chen Daoxian sensed Xuan Huangji, he immediately controlled the fusion of mana and the power of the world in Xuan Huangji. This step is already familiar to him. When he first broke through the Yuanshan stage, he was able to integrate his own mana with the power of the world of the Xianhuang realm. When the mana in his Dantian Qi Si was deeply combined with the power of the world in Xuan Huangji, Chen Daoxian's thoughts moved, and an incomparably huge celestial black hole appeared in front of him. Seeing this celestial black hole, Ran Lingxi not only widened her eyes, but also opened her mouth involuntarily. "Get back!" Chen Daoxian exclaimed. Hearing this, Ran Lingxi ran away frantically with the escape light without saying a word. Seeing Ran Lingxi flying far away, Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately afterwards, he held his breath and seemed to want to drag out the object in the black hole's celestial body. Dantian gas in the sea. Chen Daoxian's mana was consumed crazily, but because his mana was deeply combined with the power of the world in Xianhuang realm, his mana was madly replenished while being consumed madly. Gradually, a glowing spherical silhouette poking out of a black hole's celestial body. Chen Daoxian was greatly encouraged by seeing the familiar Xianhuang realm, so he continued to frantically consume mana and drag this huge world. Soon, Chen Daoxian moved the huge movement of Xianhuang realm, which attracted many monks to check. But everyone saw that Chen Daoxian was the 5th level Daoist in the world, and he did not dare to approach, but only dared to watch from a distance. Of course, the very distant place where they are, for Chen Daoxian, it is only within the range of divine consciousness, so he doesn't care at all. Regardless of whether Chen Daoxian came into contact with Tianzuan in Tianzan's mansion, he was the Daojun of the creation realm. In fact, even in the inner world, the most monks were the bottom-level monks. It's just that low-level monks like the Qi refining period and the foundation building period cannot leave the world they are in. Most of these low-level cultivators live and practice in the major worlds of Heavenly Venerate and Guangyuan realm, and only a very small number of them practice in the world of Daojun of creation realm. In any case, they cannot enter the void of the inner domain. If you want to leave the world you are in and step into the void, you must reach the nascent soul stage at the lowest level. Therefore, The monks who watched Chen Daoxian move the Xianhuang realm at this time were mostly in the Yuanning period and the first and second floor Taoists in the world realm. However, as time passed, monks with higher cultivation gradually came over. For example, Chen Daoxian noticed that there were 3 Daijins on the 5th floor of the world realm, who were rushing towards here in a light boat. But he just glanced at it with his divine sense and ignored it. As long as it doesn't affect him moving the Xianhuang realm, he will ignore it. Anyway, his worm's soldiers have long been waiting for him. If there is any monk who can't open his eyes, Chen Daoxian will not be soft at all. Speaking of which, Chen Daoxian is now considered a backer, not to mention ordinary Daijins. Even Daijins from top forces would not dare to sell Wuhe Tianzin's face. You must know that once Wuhe Tianzuan has passed the 8th Thunder Tribulation, he will be the main city Tianzuan. And the main city Tianzuan is already the top existence of the human race. Don't look at Ini Tianzin's powerful combat power, he can fight back and forth with the real immortal level world demon, but in terms of strength, he is not comparable to the main city Tianzuan. In the main city, the strength that the 8 tribulations heavenly venerate can burst out far exceeds that of ordinary true immortals. If it weren't for these 2 brushes, the human race would have been wiped out by the world monsters long ago, and it would have survived for hundreds of thousands of years. Inner Void. A Daoist on the 5th floor of the world realm noticed Ran Lingxi, and he teleported to Ran Lingxi's side and said, "This fairy is polite, I am a disciple of the Taiyin sect, I don't know where the fairy and this fellow Taoist are from." Ran Lingxi glanced at him, raised her little head, and said, "Tianzuan Mountain." Hearing this, the Daojun on the 5th floor of the world realm changed dramatically, and he quickly cupped his hands and said, "It's disturbing, it's disturbing." After all, like seeing a ghost, he disappeared in place in an instant. The cultivators who were watching heard Ran Lingxi self-reporting her family, and saw that the 5th level Daoist of the world realm left, and some bad thoughts were extinguished in their hearts. Just kidding, the people of Tianzuan Mountain, they can't afford to offend. In other words, no force can provoke Tianzuan Mountain, even the top forces of the human race. The top forces of the human race only have a small part of the heavenly venerate, and the heavenly venerate mountain is the residence of all the heavenly venerates of the human race. It and the heavenly venerate city can be said to be 2 sides of one body. At least on the bright side, it is the first force of the human race, and it is also the ruling force of the human race. Now, in the giant black hole, Xuan Huangji has squeezed out most of the body. The monks' onlookers were even smaller than the dust in front of the Xianhuang interface. A new world. An unexplored world. Among the monks watching, some muttered to themselves, with excited fire in their eyes. Don't look at the countless worlds in the inner realm. In fact, more than 99% of the worlds are worlds below the 3rd level of the world, and only less than 1% of the worlds are the Taoists above the 3rd level of the world. The world opened up. Among these worlds, the world of the world's 3-tier Taoist has little development value. The reason is very simple, even the most senior world realm 3rd layer Daojun, the world he opens up is only 100,000 miles in diameter, and his spiritual energy is extremely thin. Although the world of the 3rd level Daojun of the world has a certain vitality, it is absolutely impossible for low-level monks to enter it for cultivation. The world of the 5th layer Daojun of the world realm is different. A world of this level, whether it is the spiritual energy environment or the internal living conditions, can already meet the cultivation needs of the monks in the Qi refining period and even the foundation building period. In addition, the newly born world is equal to the unmined world. For example, in Chen Daoxuan's Xianhuang realm, there are many rare and unmined spirits. These things are waiting for the first batch of monks to enter this world to mine. If Chen Daoxian is willing to open the Xianhuang realm to the outside world, I am afraid that it will not be long before the Xianhuang realm will be stepped over the threshold by the monks who come from the surrounding. Of course, Chen Daoxian is not short of resources, and he is not short of subordinates. For the time being, the Xianhuang realm will not be open to the outside world. Even if he wants to open the Xianhuang realm to the outside world, he will have to wait until he breaks through to the transcending tribulation period. However, this time does not seem to have to wait long. Finally, The Xianhuang realm with a diameter of more than 300,000 miles was pulled over by Chen Daoxian from the void passage. After this battle, Chen Daoxian could feel that the power of the world in Xianhuang realm was consumed by 70% to 80%. But considering that he was sending the whole world, his heart was relieved. The first time that Xianhuang Jia was delivered, Chen Daoxian waved his hand and moved Ran Lingxi in front of him, and then said to her, "Do you want to go in and have a look?" Ran Lingxi nodded in surprise. Chen Daoxian waved his hand again, and the figures of the two disappeared in front of everyone. The cultivators saw that the main lord had disappeared, and there was no liveliness to watch, so they gradually left in the light boat. No way, although this kind of behavior of moving the whole world is not common, it still happens from time to time in the inner domain, but it is very rare for everyone to see it with their own eyes. Everyone came to watch, and most of them were just watching the excitement. Now that there was no excitement to watch, they naturally chose to leave. Who knows how long Chen Daoxian will come out after entering the Xianhuang realm? They are not interested in waiting stupidly in the void. Even if a cultivator wanted to talk to Chen Daoxian about cooperation issues, he could only come back angrily. Xianhuang world. The first time Ran Lingxi entered the Xianhuang realm, she jumped up and down excitedly. In fact, there are only two worlds that Ran Lingxi has really been to. One is the world opened up by her mother, and the other is the world of Tianzuan opened by Wuhe Tianzuan, Wuhiji. It's just that Wuhiji, as the world opened up by Wuhe Tianzuan, is too wide in scope. In Ran Lingxi's eyes, it is not much different from Guanji Wanji. Therefore, there is only one small world that Ran Lingxi has really seen, and that is the world opened up by her biological mother, and Xianhuang realm is the second one. It's really a primitive landscape. Ran Lingxi turned around excitedly. "Have you not transformed your world? Would you like me to transform it for you?" Looking at Ran Lingxi's unreliable appearance, Chen Daoxian directly changed the subject and said, "By the way, when it comes to transforming the world, what does the Five Rivers realm look like?" Five Rivers realm? Ran Lingxi raised her mouth. Just like the Guangyuan realm, it is very large, and there are many monks practicing in it. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian nodded. The Guangyuan realm and the various heavenly venerate realms in the inner territory actually undertake the important task of cultivating the junior monks of the human race. From this point of view, the importance of a heavenly venerate is not only reflected in the fact that he is the defensive force of the human race, but also the logistics force of the human race. If the human race does not have the heavenly venerate realm, how weak the human race's reserve strength should be. But so far, Chen Daoxian has never been to any Tianzuan realm, even the Wuhe realm of Wuhe Tianzuan. Of course, even in the Five Rivers realm, the cultivation environment is definitely not comparable to the Tianzuan mansion on Tianzuan mountain. Chen Daoxian's trip to Wuhiji has little meaning except for some experience. "You stay here for a while, I'm going to set up world coordinates." Hearing that Chen Daoxian was going to set the world coordinates, Ran Lingxi became quiet again and stopped talking. The establishment of world coordinates is for cultivators to use the world they open up for cross-border teleportation in the future. The reason why there is only one teleportation formation in Phoenix Meteor Realm and Liangjiuan is because high-level Daojun does not need to take the teleportation formation to and from Liangjiuan and Phoenix Meteor Realm. Of course, the high-ranking Daojun of Liangjiuan rarely went to Fengyun Realm. Unless it is a high-level Taoist who has a foundation in the Fengyun world. Seeing that Ran Lingxi was obedient and didn't interrupt, Chen Daoxian closed his eyes again, and he began to silently sense his clone on Shuanghu Island in Fenjianji. Compared with sensing the Xianhuang realm, it is at least 1,000 or even 10,000 times more difficult to sense a clone across the border. But fortunately, Chen Daoxian's cultivation has been promoted to the level of the fifth-layer Daojun in the world, and his sensing ability is vastly different than before. At the last moment, he sensed the black-robed clone he left on Shuanghu Island. Phoenix Meteor World. Wangxinghai Shuanghu Island. In a secret room, the monk in black robe suddenly opened his eyes, and the next moment, a void passage appeared, and Chen Daoxian, who was wearing a white robe, walked out of the void passage. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 492. Came back. Chen Daoxian looked at the familiar secret room in front of him, and there was a feeling of joy in his heart. So far, Chen Daoxian has been away from Wan Xinghai for 7 years. 7 years was just a snap for a cultivator, but Chen Daoxian felt that it was extraordinarily long, because this was the first time in his life that he had been away from his hometown for such a long time. I don't know what happened to 13th uncle, Dao Lian, Dao Chu, and Luo Li. When Chen Daoxian thought of Luo Li, a sense of guilt surged in his heart. This time, he left Fengyun realm without even telling Luo Li. At this moment, he wanted so much to see the girl who accompanied him from being weak to where he is today. Luo Li, Luo Li. Chen Daoxian muttered, and the longing in his heart could no longer be restrained. Beside him, the black robe avatar turned into a black light, and got into Chen Daoxian's Dantian Qi Si. He waved his sleeves, and the door of the secret room opened. Walking out of the cave where the black-robed clone was retreating, Chen Daoxian flew straight towards the center of Shuanghu Island. Twin Lakes Island. The residence of the head of the Chen family. In a quiet and elegant courtyard, a thin woman was lying on the fence of the pavilion, staring blankly at the fish in Linghu Lake. She didn't realize that there was a person she was thinking about standing behind her. I don't know what happened to Chen Lang now. Luo Li muttered softly, her eyes filled with longing. Liar. Chen Daoxian called softly. What? Luo Li exclaimed, then turned her head suddenly. When she saw Chen Daoxian's familiar figure, she stood up suddenly, threw herself into his arms, and sobbed softly. Sorry. Chen Daoxian hugged her hard and kissed her hair. You said you wouldn't leave me. Luo Li burst into tears. Sorry. Chen Daoxian didn't have the slightest excuse, he could only keep apologizing. Indeed, he had promised Luo Li that he would never leave her again in the future. It was he who broke his promise. He never broke his promise to anyone except Luo Li. He also knew that in this world, only by breaking her promise to her would she not really blame him, and only she would tolerate him time and time again. Luo Li was the most cherished person by Chen Daoxian. It took a long time for Luo Li to stop her tears. Chen Daoxian held her in his arms, and the two sat in the pavilion, snuggling together. You mean, you and your concubine's sister went to the battlefield outside Liangjiuan? Chen Daoxian nodded. Now that he has passed the danger, there is no need to hide Luo Li anymore. Then, why didn't you tell me? As Luo Li spoke, tears rolled in her eyes again. Or do you think my low cultivation is just a burden? Of course not. Chen Daoxian's voice was high-pitched, but seeing Luo Li's sobbing appearance, he felt extremely distressed in an instant. I just don't want you to worry. But I'm willing to worry about you. Luo Li looked at him with tears in her eyes. I am your Taoist companion, and I have the right to know your safety. I have the right to know your safety better than anyone else. Seeing her appearance, Chen Daoxian felt guilty for the first time, and he assured, I swear, this is the first and last time. Luo Li looked directly into Chen Daoxian's eyes, and after a long time, she nodded slowly and said, I remember what you said, if you do such a dangerous thing without telling me next time, I will treat you as dead. It will self-destruct Jindan with you. Although Luo Li's words were in a flat tone, Chen Daoxian felt a chill in his heart. Because he knew very well that Luo Li was a woman who was soft on the outside and tough on the inside. Since she could say this, she would definitely do it. Chen Daoxian quickly took her into his arms. There will never be a second time, I promise. As if thinking of something, Chen Daoxian said again, by the way, I have now been promoted to the 5th floor of the world realm, and the Xianhuang realm has initially matured, enough for cultivators below the Jindan stage to enter it for cultivation. Hearing this, Luo Li's eyes lit up slightly, and she instantly understood what Chen Daoxian meant. You mean, let me go to Xianhuang realm? Chen Daoxian nodded. gently held her Ro-E, and said warmly, "Yes, so you can stay by my side forever." "Okay, I'm willing to follow you to the Xianhuang realm. When are we leaving?" Luo Li didn't even think about it, and agreed on the spot. Seeing her so eager, Chen Daoxian took her little hand and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I'm not letting you go to the Xianhuang realm alone. I am going to arrange for the clan to enter the Xianhuang realm first. In the future, the Xianhuang realm will become the foundation of my Chen family, and you will protect this foundation for me. Do you have the confidence to do it?" Luo Li nodded vigorously. If there is no accident, Chen Daoxian is very likely to be promoted to the Daojun of Creation realm and even the Transcendence period in a short period of time, and Xianhuang realm will also be officially promoted to Tianzuan realm. In the inner realm, which Tianzuan realm is not populated by a large number of monks. Although the Heavenly Venerate realm is incomparable with the Guanyuan realm and the Phoenix Meteor realm, the number of the Heavenly Venerate realm is very large, so the monks living in the Heavenly Venerate realm are not much less than the Guanyuan realm and the Phoenix Meteor realm. In fact, it is reasonable to say that with the territory resources of Fengyun world, it should be the world with the most monks. But Naiha Fengyun world is an abandoned world, and most of the resources in this world have been taken away by the human race. The little resources left are naturally not enough to support the huge number of monks. This is also the reason why the Fengyun realm has the widest territory, and the quality and quantity of the cultivators are not as good as those in the inner realm. Looking at Luo Li's expectant eyes, Chen Daoxian thought that he had marked the coordinates of Shuanghu Island, so he smiled and said, "Would you like to go to Xianhuang realm?" Lori was a little excited. She had been to the Xianhuang realm, but the Xianhuang realm at that time was still a barren land, and there was nothing to see, so she simply looked at it and left. But this time is different. The world of the Xianhuang realm has a diameter of more than 300,000 miles. Such a huge world is very rare even if you look at all the world realms. Chen Daoxian knew that this had something to do with the beads in the core of the Xianhuang realm in the depths. Otherwise, only relying on the power of good fortune to irrigate, it is absolutely impossible to expand the Xianhuang realm to this level when he is at the 5th level of the world realm. Walk! Facing Luo Li's expectant eyes, Chen Daoxian took her hand, and the figures of the two instantly disappeared in place. Next moment, the figures of the two have appeared in a new world, which is the Xianhuang realm. Luo Li looked around and saw that the Xianhuang realm was very different from before. The biggest difference is that in the past, the Xianhuang realm was full of desert land, not to mention green vegetation and animals, and even water sources could not be seen. But now, the Xianhuang realm is not only rich in spiritual energy, but also has everything in the fairy mountains, spiritual islands, lakes and oceans. Not only that, there are various animals living and multiplying in the Xianhuang world. It's just that the spirituality of these animals is extremely low, and most of them can only act by instinct, far from being comparable to the human race. It's beautiful here. Luo Li excitedly said, "I feel a lot more relaxed here." Chen Daoxian of course knew why Luo Li felt this way. As the Phoenix Meteor realm is constantly being swallowed up by the true demon realm, the world will of the Phoenix Meteor realm will become more and more crazy and desperate. When it reflects in the real world, everyone will feel that the breath of the Phoenix Meteor realm is extremely depressing. On the other hand, the Xianhuang realm is a new world, and it is full of hope and vitality. Luo Li will feel relaxed, which is a normal reaction. It's just that Luo Li is not clear about this, and Chen Daoxian himself learned about it from Wuhe Tianzuan. When he went to Guanyuan realm, he had this feeling. The first impression Guanyuan realm gave him was that it was very peaceful, not as oppressive as Fengyun realm. Although the cultivators who have lived in the Phoenix realm for a long time cannot feel the depression, it is because they have adapted to the depressing environment. In fact, the long-term repressed environment also had a certain impact on the monks. For example, most of the monks in Fengyun realm are narrow-minded and cruel, but they are greedy for life and fear of death. A large part of these personalities are influenced by the environment of the Phoenix Meteor world, or by the will of the Phoenix Meteor world, which is another important reason for the human race to abandon the Phoenix meteor world. After flying recklessly in the Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxian took Luo Li's little hand and said, "Go, it'll take you to meet someone." "To see people?" Luo Li looked a little puzzled. Chen Daoxian smiled and said nothing. The figures of the two disappeared instantly, and the next moment, Chen Daoxian and Luo Li suddenly appeared in front of Ran Lingxi. Ran Lingxi was shocked when she saw that there was someone suddenly beside Chen Daoxian. "Yeah, didn't you go to anchor the world coordinates? Why did you bring a beautiful woman back?" Ran Lingxi looked at Luo Li curiously and said to Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian ignored her and introduced them to the two. "This is the daughter of Wuhe Tianzuan, Fairy Ran Lingxi. She is my Taoist companion." Luo Li. Only then did Luo Li know that the true monarch Yuaning in front of her was actually the daughter of Heavenly Venerate, and her personality looked like a child's. Of course, no matter how she looks like a child, she is still the daughter of Tianzuan, not to mention that Ran Lingxi's cultivation is higher than hers. Luo Li hurriedly greeted her and said, "I have seen Fairy Lingxi." "Ah, you are Chen Daoxuan's Dao companion? But why is your cultivation level so low? You are only in the late Jindan stage." Ran Lingxi ignored Luo Li's embarrassed expression and said to herself, "You two are like my father and mother, and my mother's cultivation is much lower than my father's." Hearing this, Luo Li realized that this Heavenly Venerate's daughter did not mean to embarrass people, but was really heartless. In dealing with children, Luo Li is more experienced than Chen Daoxian. When she was free in the Chen family, she often went to the Chen family's clan to teach the descendants of the Chen family. Speaking of which, Luo Li was considered a senior teacher. Sure enough, under Luo Li's words, Ran Lingxi quickly became warm with her. "Sister Luo Li, you are much more interesting than Chen Daoxian. Unlike him, who only knows how to retreat, you left me alone for several months." Ran Lingxi poured bitter water on Luo Li. Chen Daoxian, who was beside him, smiled and did not speak. Chen Daoxian let Luo Li and Ran Lingxi get to know each other, and naturally he had his plans. That's right, he took a fancy to the cultivation environment of Tianzan's mansion and wanted Luo Li to go there too. It has to be said that although Luo Li has no shortage of resources, her talent is somewhat lacking. Chen Daoxian can also get some treasures that improve his cultivation, such as Saint Yuandan and other treasures. But treasures that enhance the realm of the Great Tao are relatively rare. Chen Daoxian couldn't preach to Luo Li all the time, it was unrealistic. But compared to his preaching, Chen Daoxian found a better place, that is the abyss of Tianzan's mansion. Chen Daoxian has practiced in the abyss for 6 years, and with the blessing of the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, the progress of the Tao law can be described as rapid, which is also the skyrocketing that the Xianhuang realm can rapidly expand. If the law of the Great Way is bone, then the expanding world is flesh and blood. Without bones, flesh and blood is duckweed without roots, and even if the world expands, it will collapse sooner or later. Seeing that Luo Li and Ran Lingxi are getting to know each other more and more, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, "Okay, we should go back too." What dash? When Ran Lingxi heard that she was going to go home, her face was pulled down. But she knew that Chen Daoxian would not be used to her. Unable to resist, he could only look at Luo Li, who had just met with help. Although Luo Li didn't know Chen Daoxuan's plan, but she would not go against his decision. She spoke to comfort. "You have been out for so long, Wuhe Tianzuan must also be worried. As for coming out to play, there will be opportunities in the future." Saying that, she glanced at Chen Daoxian and smiled, "Even if other people don't accompany you to play, there is still me." "Are you serious?" Ran Lingxi's face was full of excitement. "Then let's make a promise." Immediately, she remembered something and frowned. "No, we don't live together anymore. How can you play with me, Sister Luo Li, or you can come to my house as a guest?" Saying that, Ran Lingxi looked at her with expectant eyes. At this moment, Luo Li roughly understood what Chen Daoxian meant, and she couldn't help looking at Chen Daoxian, waiting for him to make a decision. Ran Lingxi also saw that Luo Li seemed to listen to Chen Daoxuan's words very much, so she looked at Chen Daoxian with pleading eyes. Chen Daoxian smiled and said, yes, Tianzuan Mansion is an excellent place to practice, but am worried that it will bring inconvenience to Lingzuan and Lingtang. No inconvenience. Ran Lingxi patted her little chest loudly, I have the final say in my family. Okay, then let's go back together. Chen Daoxian nodded. Luo Li's cultivation was too low, he had to help her to improve her cultivation quickly. It is a pity that the abyss of Tianzuan Mountain can only be found in Tianzuan Mansion. And according to Chen Daoxuan's knowledge, the more you get to the top of Tianzuan Mountain, the stronger the Taoism that escapes from the abyss. In other words, the abyss of Wuhe Tianzuan Mansion is already the top cultivation treasure of the human race. In normal times, Chen Daoxian would not have the qualifications to come into contact with this treasured cultivation place. After everything was negotiated, Ran Lingxi's mood rose again. Okay, let's go home. Chen Daoxian smiled, waved his sleeves, and the three suddenly left the Xianhuang realm. In the inner void, Luo Li was completely shocked by the scene in front of her. It's beautiful here. Chen Daoxian turned his head, does it look like Wanxinghai? Thinking of his hometown, Luo Li smiled and nodded, like. Chen Daoxian gently shook her little hand, took the two of her on a light boat, and flew towards Guangyuan realm. Only Xianhuang realm is left, and together with countless worlds, it floats quietly in the inner domain. 7017K. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. Chapter 493. Guangyuan Realm. Ah, finally back. Ran Lingxi took a deep breath, stretched her arms and said intoxicated. On the side, Chen Daoxian turned his head to Luo Li and said, you will visit Wuhe Tianzuan with me later. Well, listen to you. Lori nodded. Immediately, Chen Daoxian looked at Ran Lingxi and said with a smile, you also come with us. Ran Lingxi rolled her eyes slightly, smiled and nodded, okay. After a cup of tea, the three came together to stand outside the cave where Wuhe Tianzuan retreated. Junior Chen Daoxian, I have something to ask Tianzuan. Come in. Inside the cave, a majestic voice came out. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian and the three walked into the cave side by side. The furnishings in the cave are very simple, and it is completely impossible to see that this is the residence of a top human race, but it looks like a low-level monk. But the moment Chen Daoxian entered the cave, he felt a different kind of breath. This is pure yang. Chen Daoxian was shocked. In his impression, only by breaking through to the realm of Mahayana true immortal, will mana be completely transformed into pure yang immortal. Of course, in addition to this, there will also be pure yang aura on the pure yang fairy, but this aura is not like the pure yang fairy emanates, but more like pure yang fairy power. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's doubts, Wuhe Tianzuan, who was sitting cross-legged in front of him, said slowly, every time a tribulation cultivator passes through a thunder tribulation, his mana will be transformed once, and this transformation process is the transformation of mana into pure yang immortal power. Change. Most of the reasons why Mahayana true immortals are so strong in transitioning to heaven smiting venerable are because of this. The power attributes of the two are already fundamentally different. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian suddenly made a big mistake, and he hurriedly bowed his hands to Wuhe Tianzuan. Thank you Tianzuan for clarifying the confusion. Wuhe Tianzuan nodded slightly. These things are the basic common sense of tribulation monks, but for monks from a small place like Chen Daoxian, they are indeed top secrets. Immediately, Wuhe Tianzuan looked at Luo Li with a smile, and said, you came to me, isn't it just for this? Heavenly honored Mingjian, Chen Daoxian introduced directly, this is my Taoist companion Luo Li. I want to use the land of the abyss to help him break through his cultivation base, and I also ask Heavenly Venerate to fulfill him. After thinking about it, Chen Daoxian decided to confess to Wuhe Tianzuan. After all, he doesn't know how precious the land of the abyss is, and rashly rubs against other people's treasures on the grounds of being a guest. If it makes Wuhe Tianzuan unhappy, it will not be beautiful. Who knows that Wuha Tianzuan has not replied yet? Ran Lingxi, who is on the side, helps. Dad, you promised to let Sister Luo Li go to the abyss to cultivate, otherwise Sister Luo Li will be like her mother in the future, and her cultivation will be poor. You are far, far away. Ran Lingxi's words completely moved Wuha Tianzuan. I saw him nodded and said, there is no problem in asking your Tao companion to practice in the abyss, but there is a certain amount of Taoism scattered in the abyss. If you give her more, you will have less. So, do you still have the confidence to break through the creation realm and get my recommendation in less than 6 years? Wuha Tianzuan looked at him intently. You know, this time is your chance to reach the sky in one step. If you want the next place, you have to wait another 1,000 years. Hearing this, Luo Li immediately shook his head. Tianzuan, I don't want to go to the abyss to practice, please give this opportunity to my husband. Saying that, Luo Liying bowed and knelt down to him. Wuha Tianzuan waved his hand. Even though Luo Li felt that he couldn't kneel down, he had to keep shaking his head at Chen Daoxian. Aside, Chen Daoxian took a deep breath and said solemnly, even if I lose this opportunity, I don't regret it. Really? Really? Chen Daoxian nodded seriously. Forget it, take your Taoist companion there. Wuha Tianzuan waved his hand, then closed his eyes. Luo Li was anxious, but was directly ignored by Chen Daoxian. He bowed to Wuha Tianzuan again. In this case, the junior will not bother and leave. Having said that, Chen Daoxian took Luo Li's little hand and left the cave of Wuha Tianzuan. Inside the cave, Ran Lingxi looked at Wuha Tianzuan curiously, and said curiously, Dad, why are you lying to him? Our place in the abyss can obviously supply up to 5 people at the same time. Wuha Tianzuan patted her on the forehead and said with a smile, your father has to see if the way I found for your mother and daughter is so reliable. Dad, what's the way back? Wuha Tianzuan smiled without saying a word, but there was a hint of reluctance in his eyes. Except for Tianzuan Cave. Luo Li was very angry, and shook off Chen Daoxian's big hand. Why do you have to decide for me? Tianzuan has already said, you obviously have a chance to get this quota to break through the tribulation period, why should you give up? Chen Daoxian shook his head and looked at her in surprise. When did I say I would give up? Then you just... Chen Daoxian gently embraced her slender waist and whispered, don't worry, I'm 100% sure. You didn't lie to me. Luo Li looked at Chen Daoxian with suspicious eyes. When did I cheat? As soon as Chen Daoxian said these words, he felt a little guilty, and quickly changed his words, don't worry, I will never lie to you this time. After speaking, he looked at Luo Li seriously. After carefully looking at Chen Daoxian and making sure that the other party did not deceive him, Luo Li nodded, if you lied to me this time, I will ignore you in the future. Absolutely not. Chen Daoxian said with a smile. In fact, the land of the abyss is a holy place for other monks to understand the Tao, but for Chen Daoxian, it is really a tasteless place. He has the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, which theoretically can improve his understanding infinitely. As long as there are enough Jiayuan beads, there is no need for an abyss. But Luo Li didn't know this, and he was afraid that he would let Chen Daoxian miss the opportunity to quickly break through the tribulation period, so it was not surprising. The land of the abyss. Chen Daoxian sat cross-legged, while Luo Li sat beside him. At this moment, Luo Li had taken the Saint Yuan pill that Chen Daoxian had purchased for her from Chuanbao Pavilion. In Tianzuan Mansion, countless auras gathered towards the abyss. Guangyuan realm and Fengyuan realm are different. In the Guangyuan realm, there is no such thing as a spiritual vein, and the spiritual energy is almost evenly distributed throughout the Guangyuan realm. Compared with the spiritual energy of Fengyuan realm, which is occupied by major cultivation forces, Guangyuan realm is the real cultivation holy place. Seeing that Luo Li was submerged by the light beam of spiritual energy, Chen Daoxian closed his eyes with peace of mind and began to understand the mystery of the origin of spirituality. This time, he has already found the way to break through to the creation realm. The only thing to do is to use divine consciousness to continuously investigate the spiritual origins of other cultivators in the creation realm, and then create their own spirituality, so as to truly create a new spiritual life for the Xianhuang realm. Time passed little by little. Chen Daoxian was accompanied by Luo Li, and it was extremely comfortable to practice. This kind of life is like returning to the sea of consciousness where his cultivation base was still low. It was like now, he and Luo Li often accompany each other to practice, but at that time the window paper between him and Luo Li hadn't been opened. In addition, Luo Li has not yet transformed, although Chen Daoxian has a good impression of Luo Li, a merman woman, but he did not show it. It was not until Luo Li took the initiative to reveal his feelings that the two came together completely. Now, Chen Daoxian was tired from practicing, so he looked at Luo Li's beautiful profile to relieve his mood. Sometimes Luo Li felt something in her heart, and she blushed when he stared at him, and even hit him with anger. With the help of Abyss Land and Xingyuandan, Luo Li's cultivation has also been improved rapidly. In less than half a year, her cultivation level has been upgraded from the early stage of Jindan to the later stage of Jindan. The next step is to break through to the nascent soul stage. Since Luo Li is a merman, her physical body has been strengthened along with her cultivation, so she doesn't have to go out of her way to practice body exercises. Therefore, she only needs to directly break through the nascent soul stage. Chen Daoxian saw that Luo Li was a little nervous, so he comforted him with a warm voice on the side. Don't worry, with the help of Abyss Land and Saint Yuan Dan, it is only a matter of course for you to break through the nascent soul stage. Besides, your Dao realm has also broken through to the Law realm, which is the Dao realm at the nascent soul level. Don't worry. Looking at the most important person in her life beside her, Luo Li finally stopped worrying. With the person she loves by her side, even if she died at this moment, Luo Li felt that she had no regrets, not to mention the danger of breaking through the nascent soul stage. On the side, although Chen Daoxian offered words of comfort, he was also a little nervous in his heart. Although Luo Li's foundation has been laid very firmly, the way of cultivation is not fully grasped. Otherwise, the path of cultivation will not be called a path against the sky. Watching Luo Li break through the Yuaning stage by seclusion, Chen Daoxian simply stopped his own practice, quietly watched Luo Li break through, and protected the law for her. With Chen Daoxian's current cultivation level, even if Luo Li fails to break through, he can still protect her life. This is the true meaning of a high-level cultivator. Soon, 3 months passed. Chen Daoxian felt that the aura in the attention of the spiritual energy was getting stronger and stronger, and his heart also pounded. Finally, the aura light beam slowly dissipated, revealing the shadow inside. Looking at Luo Li's safe and sound appearance, Chen Daoxian teased, "Congratulations to the lady for breaking through the nascent soul stage." Hearing this, Luo Li blushed pretty and gave him a white look. Knowing this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but feel a little warm in his heart. It seems that they also touched Chen Daoxian's fiery eyes, and Luo Li's pretty face turned even redder, but both of them knew whose dojo this place was, and they didn't dare to really be presumptuous here. After thinking for a while, Chen Daoxian whispered something in Luo Li's ear. Luo Li blushed immediately, but nodded slightly. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian took her hand, and the two of them were about to fly out of the Tianzuan mansion with a flash of light. By a Chinese website who knew that Ran Lingxi happened to be looking for it. "Where are you going?" When the two heard this, it was as if they were about to do something bad, but they were suddenly caught, which was very embarrassing. Especially Luo Li, her entire face was flushed with blush. Seeing that Luo Li didn't speak, Ran Lingxi looked at Chen Daoxian curiously, and continued to ask, "Are you going out?" Immediately, she discovered Luo Li's cultivation base again, and her eyes lit up. "I see." It turns out that it was Sister Luo Li's cultivation base that broke through. "You want to take her out to celebrate?" So, Ran Lingxi immediately raised her little hand, take me one, and I'll go too." Chen Daoxian opened his mouth weakly, sat down with his knees crossed, and said dumbly, "I'm not going, you all go." Hearing this, Luo Li covered her mouth with a puff and laughed. Seeing Luo Li's appearance, Ran Lingxi glanced at Luo Li and then at Chen Daoxian, as if she understood something. Her face flushed red. Immediately, without saying a word, she disappeared in front of them in a flash. Seeing Ran Lingxi leave, Chen Daoxian stood up again, took Luo Li's hand and flew out of Tianzhen's mansion. "Hey, slow down." Luo Li blushed. After leaving Tianzhuan mansion, Luo Li blushed and asked, "Where are we going now?" Chen Daoxian smiled mysteriously, took her hand, and the two disappeared on Tianzhuan mountain. Next moment, when Luo Li came back to his senses, the two were already in the Xianhuang realm. When he came to Xianhuang realm again, Luo Li reacted immediately and hurriedly said, "Why did you bring me here?" "Don't worry, I have marked the world coordinates of Tianzhuan mountain. After a while, you can directly transfer the world through the Xianhuang realm." Hearing this, Luo Li was relieved. The three of them had been on the light boat for more than a month before they rushed from the Xianhuang realm to the Guangyuan realm. Thinking of this, Luo Li sighed sincerely. A high level of cultivation is convenient. After hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled wickedly, reached out to stop her and said, "There is something more convenient." "What?" Lori screamed. Immediately, a spherical space cage enveloped the two figures. The next day, Luo Li's hair was loose, her pretty face flushed red, and she gently served Chen Daoxian to get dressed. The space cage dissipated, and the two figures were revealed again. At this moment, Chen Daoxian only felt refreshed, and all the pressure dissipated. The way of yin and yang deserves to be one of the avenues. Chen Daoxian grinned, really refreshed. When Luo Li heard this, he was so angry that he hammered him hard. But Chen Daoxian had rough skin and thick flesh and didn't care at all, instead he giggled. Seeing this, Luo Li was helpless, blushed and turned his head away without speaking. Chen Daoxian also knew that Luo Li was thin-skinned, so he stopped laughing, but said sternly, "Liar, you must consolidate your cultivation here first, and I will complete the shaping of the spiritual source today. Are you going to succeed?" Luo Li's eyes lit up. Her excited expression was even happier than her own breakthrough to the nascent soul stage. "I have a hunch, to create spirituality, right now." The whim of a monk is usually quite accurate, the more advanced the monk is. This is also one of the reasons why high-level monks are difficult to deal with. There are many high-level monks who choose to flee before they feel the danger in their minds, and they can't kill them even if they want to. There is only a large-scale battlefield like the Yaoguang City Guard War, where the Qi machine is extremely chaotic, and there are dangers everywhere, so no specific danger can be sensed. In front of Chen Daoxian, a light spot slowly condenses. If you magnify it countless times, you can see that there are countless dense lines on this light spot, and this is the spiritual origin created by Chen Daoxian. It's just that compared with other cultivators in the creation realm, Chen Daoxian's spiritual origin still has a small gap. On the whole, his spirituality has only been completed 99%, and the last 1% is not done. Suddenly, Chen Daoxian opened his eyes and asked, "Liar, what do you think the first spiritual life I created should be?" I don't know," Chen Lang decides for himself. Luo Li seemed to be a little nervous, and there was nowhere to start. To create spiritual life, this is really a bit far away for Luo Li, who is a talented person, but it is something that Chen Daoxian is about to face. Thinking of this, Luo Li couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. "Brother Shen." Shen Chongqing was walking on the road, and when he met someone he knew, he would say hello or nod to each other. But no matter who, everyone's face has no superfluous expressions, as if they are very indifferent to everything. To this, Shen Chongqing is used to it. Because this is the Ministry of Suppression, it is an organization that maintains the stability of Daqin. Its main responsibility is to kill monsters and monsters. Of course, there are also some other side jobs. It can be said, in the Demon Suppression Division, everyone had a lot of blood on their hands. When a person is used to seeing life and death, he will become indifferent to many things. When he first came to this world, Shen Chongqing was a little uncomfortable, but over time he got used to it. The town magic department is very big. Those who can stay in the town demon division are all powerful masters, or those who have the potential to become masters. Shen Chongqing belongs to the latter. Among them, the demon suppression division is divided into two occupations, one is the guardian envoy and the other is the demon slayer. Anyone who enters the demon suppression division starts from the lowest level of demon slayer. Then he was promoted step by step, and finally he was expected to become a guardian envoy. Shen Chongqing's predecessor was a trainee slayer in the demon suppression division, and he was also the lowest ranked slayer. Has the memory of the predecessor. He is also very familiar with the environment of the town demon division. It didn't take too long, Shen Chongqing stopped in front of an attic. Different from other places full of chills in the demon suppression division, the attic here seems to stand out from the crowd, showing a different tranquility in the suppression demon division. At this time, the door to the attic was open, and occasionally people came in and out. Shen Chongqing just hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. Enter the attic. Circumstances have changed in vain. A burst of ink fragrance mixed with a faint smell of blood rushed towards his face, causing his brows to instinctively wrinkle, but it quickly relaxed. There is almost no way to clean the smell on everyone in the Jinmosi. Please remember this book's first domain name. Mobile version reading website, WAP. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.